What's up, Death Warders? Net Narrator here. And we're going back for some more Epstein, and hopefully today we are going to finish Dataset 6. But first of all, as always, I fully intend for any proceeds gained from this content and my other Epstein coverage to go to Speak Out, Act, Reclaim, SAW, founded by Virginia Giuffre, who is now unfortunately deceased. And while the organisation is not currently accepting public donations, and I was unable to set up any kind of fundraiser via YouTube, I will donate the proceedings when possible, or to a similar organisation if that's not possible. And proof of this will be released when I do so. Anyway, I say that every time, but it's we might have some new people here. So, just in case you don't know, now you know. Anyways, thank you. Looks like we got a few new members. I did announce this stream earlier in the day. Usually I announce it very last minute, which I really shouldn't do, because that's just outright lazy of me. But anyways, Dataset 6, depending on how much time we've got, I might just end the stream early to sort of mark the passing of another dataset. And it will mark, in theory, on paper, it's the halfway point. Because there are 12 datasets, this is 6, and once we're done with 6, well, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But the reality is that a lot of the... there's a lot more to go in the later datasets, and I think one is very, very long. Anyways, we don't appear to have a Clara or a Dexter yet, but they will come along soon. And when they do show up, I'll try and get them on stream if I can. Anyways, enough rambling. I hope you're all doing well. If you see any observations during my reading, please let me know, and I'll address it in the chat as soon as I can. But let's get a cracking on. United States Grand Jury, Southern District of New York. United States of America v. Ghislaine Maxwell, 2018R01618. November 19th, 2019 additional. United States Courthouse 300, Coropa Street, White Plains, New York, July 8th, 2020. 10:05 a.m. Appearances redacted. Assistant United States Attorney. Redacted, acting Grand Jury Reporter. Free State Reporting Inc., Court Reporting Transcription, DC Area 301-261-1902, Bolton ANAP 410-974-0947. So yes, Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously the known accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein, who is still alive, still in prison, and is still refusing to name names. She is refusing to cooperate with investigators. Now, it feels weird for me to say it, but I have grown to hate Ghislaine Maxwell a lot more than I do Epstein. And logically, that doesn't make sense. To me, it might be that it's because Epstein is dead, and realistically, the only time I've actually heard his voice is there was a video on YouTube. I did have to do some digging. American voice, smug as hell. Ghislaine Maxwell, on the other hand, I had the pleasure of reading her court testimony, along with Virginia Giuffre's, during the 2024 Epstein file release. And these were court documents related to Virginia Giuffre and Ghislaine Maxwell. Specifically, those two. And Ghislaine Maxwell is an absolute brat. The interview transcripts corroborate this. She is an absolute brat, she refuses to cooperate, and I think she needs to be grilled far more harshly than she already is. She is the key to getting a lot of names out there, getting a lot of information, and the key to getting a lot of people their comeuppance and a lot of victims their justice. So, to say that I'm sort of relishing court documents involving Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't know. I mean, yes and no, in a way. Partly because I hate the person and I want to see them face justice. But anyway, next page. A primer on Ghislaine Maxwell, because obviously most people like to talk about Jeffrey Epstein specifically, and by God, we've had a lot of documents on him. Proceeding, 10:05 a.m. Misredacted. Let the record reflect that there are 17 grand jurors present, and that the foreperson is present. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Redacted, and I am an Assistant United States Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Can everyone hear me okay? Alright. I see everybody's heads nodding. Thank you. And Dexter's just shown up beside me. He's behaving. Oh, there you go. You can see him. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. I am here today to present for your consideration a proposed superseding indictment charging Ghislaine Maxwell in 6 counts. This indictment is virtually identical to the indictment that you returned last week, charging Maxwell in those same 6 counts, except that it corrects 2 clerical errors, or 2 typographical errors that were contained in counts 5 and 6, which are the perjury charges. As a result, I will not be presenting any new evidence or new witnesses today. Instead, I will identify for you those 2 clerical errors in the indictment. I will point out the portion of the exhibits that you saw last week that provide the correct information. Then I will identify the corrected portion of the superseding indictment in the proposed superseding indictment. Before I do that, though, I must ask you all the same preliminary questions that we went over last week. First, do any of you believe that you personally know or have met the proposed defendant, Ghislaine Maxwell? I see no hands. Next, have you heard or read about or learned anything about Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, or anyone else related to this case? If you could just raise your hand. I see a number of hands. Virtually every hand is in the air. You can all put your hands down. Thank you. As you know, you must make your determination as a grand jury based on the evidence presented before you in the grand jury in this room alone. Accordingly, you must set aside any other knowledge you may have about this case or the people involved in it, and base your decision solely on the evidence presented to this grand jury to determine whether there is probable cause to believe that the charges in the proposed indictment were committed. Is there any grand juror here today who cannot follow these instructions? I see no hands. Just to be sure, is there any grand juror here who would have any difficulty setting aside the outside information you may have about the defendant or the facts of this case? I see no hands. Finally, do any of you believe you know me in anything other than my professional capacity? I see no hands. Now, as I mentioned, I will not be calling any witnesses today. Instead, I will present you with the exhibits from last week, the transcript of the testimony you heard from last week, and the proposed superseding indictment. I will then walk you through the error that the superseding indictment seeks to correct. Please keep in mind, though, that what I say is not evidence. Only the testimony of the witnesses and the exhibits are evidence. So as I'm walking you through these exhibits, your understanding of them and your understanding of the evidence controls. I am just trying to provide you with an overview. With that instruction in mind, I'm going to put up onto the Elmo what was previously received and marked as Grand Jury Exhibit 1. That is the proposed 6-count indictment that you voted to return last week. A copy of it will be available for review when you deliberate. You also received what has been marked as Grand Jury Exhibit 2, which I will not put up on the Elmo. That was a PowerPoint presentation containing photographs and excerpts of certain documents that was shown to you during the testimony last week. You also heard testimony from FBI Special Agent Redacted. Today I am marking as Grand Jury Exhibit 3 a copy of the transcript of that testimony. It is up in the Elmo now, and it will be available for you to review if you would like as you deliberate. I will not read it back to you now, but you can read through it as you deliberate. Finally, I am marking as Grand Jury Exhibit 4 the proposed superseding indictment, which I have now placed up in the Elmo. As I mentioned, this proposed superseding indictment corrects 2 clerical errors and is otherwise identical to the original indictment, Grand Jury Exhibit 1. I'm now going to walk you through the errors that we're going to correct, starting on Grand Jury Exhibit 1. Page 15 contains the beginning of Count 5, which charges Maxwell with perjury. Paragraph 21 on that page refers to the civil case in which Maxwell gave deposition testimony on April 22, 2016 as 15 Civ 7344. That is the error we are going to correct. Similarly, page 16 contains the beginning of Count 6, which charges another count of perjury. Paragraph 23 on that page refers to the civil case in which Maxwell gave deposition testimony on July 22, 2016 under the same number, 15 Civ 7344. Turning now to Grand Jury Exhibit 2. Slide 22 of that exhibit contains the first page of the deposition transcript from the testimony that Maxwell gave on April 22, 2016. As you can see here, the docket number for that case is in fact 15 Civ 7433, not 7344. Clara! Sorry, I hear her meowing. Similarly, slide 25 contains the first page of the transcript from the July 22, 2016 deposition that Maxwell gave. As you can see here, again, the docket number for that case is 15 Civ 7433, not 7344. Finally, I will turn to the proposed indictment, Grand Jury Exhibit 4. On page 15, you have again the same perjury count with one charge. Paragraph 21, hello Clara, corrects the docket number for the civil case to be 15 Civ 7433. Similarly, on page 16, which contains the second perjury count for the July 22nd, 2016 deposition, the docket number is corrected to 15 Civ 7433. There are otherwise no changes to the substance of this indictment. That is my presentation. Before I leave you to deliberate, would anyone like me to read the full proposed... Clara, stop knocking things off my desk. That is my presentation. Before I leave you to deliberate, would anyone like me to read the full proposed superseding indictment out loud? I see no hands. I must advise you that you must independently find probable cause, again, for each count in the superseding indictment. The evidence before you in support of the charges in the superseding indictment is the same evidence that was before you when you considered the indictment last week. Does anyone have any questions about that evidence? I see no hands. The legal instructions that you received before voting on the indictment last week are the same instructions that apply to your consideration of the proposed superseding indictment. Would anyone like me to read those instructions out loud for you again? I see no hands. Does anyone have any questions about the legal instructions? I see no hands. I will leave you now with the exhibits to deliberate. As always, if you have any questions or concerns about the proposed indictment, please let me know before you vote so that I may answer any questions you may have on the law, or bring any additional evidence before you to consider. Thank you all. Matter concluded. Time noted, 10:14 a.m. Certificate. I hereby certify that the foregoing is a true and accurate transcription, to the best of my skill and ability, from my electronic notes of this proceeding. July 22nd, 2020. Redacted name, Acting Grand Jury Reporter, Free State Reporting, Inc. Dexter, don't go in front of my monitor, please. United States v. Ghislaine Maxwell. June 29th, 2020, Grand Jury Presentation. Oh, you okay, buddy? There we go. Yes, you are. You good boy. Oh, and there he goes. Just in case you can't see, up there he is. He'll be chilling there. Here we got some photos. So it says exit there, no smoking. We've seen these photos before, unfortunately, with dataset 2. Now, Clara, don't turn off my PC again. You are banned from going back there, but you can come up on my desk. 9 East 71st Street, New York, New York. And that's the New York address there, of which a lot of this case covers. And the one that started it all, 358 El Brillo Way, Palm Beach, Florida, which is this address here. 49 Zorro Ranch Road, Stanley, New Mexico. Unfortunately, we haven't seen much of this ranch, which I find a little bit concerning, considering how deep this thing goes. That's redacted. That's redacted. Don't do that, cat. In fact, I'm going to see if I can pick her up. And she's off. And no doubt 2 seconds she'll be right back there trying to knock things over. Interlochen Arts Camp. Filtered by. Show all accounts. Score equals Interlochen Center for the Arts. Fucking hell, cat. Completion year greater or equal 1994. Completion year less or equal 1998. The years where this apparently went down. Completion year 1994 and a bunch of redactions. Hey, stop distracting me during stream. He's a good girl. Just chill out. So, Interlochen. February 9th, 1994. Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. J. Epstein and Company, Inc. The Villard House, 457 Madison Avenue, New York, New York, 10022. Dear Jeffrey, I have talked to you and Ghislaine on several occasions to say thank you, but I wanted to express in writing my personal and professional gratitude for the very generous gift of $200,000 for our new scholarship lodge. It is truly an extraordinary gesture. God damn, cat. Let's see if I can... Alright. Sit here, you idiot. Alright, next one. Under the Charitable Contribution Act, you are permitted use of the lodge for 2 weeks each year. without any negative implications in respect to the full tax deductibility of your gift. Naturally, we would like you to visit the new lodge this summer. So that we might begin to book the lodge, I would ask that you consider what 2 weeks you would like reserved for your use. Perlman will be giving his concert on August 7th, 1994. I have enclosed the appropriate tax code for your file. Anyway. Oh! Wait. Hey, you okay? I think he's coughing up a hairball. Hey, you okay? What did you eat? You okay, buddy? You alright? You okay? That didn't sound good. You're alright. You're alright. Hey, Clara. Sorry, I wasn't expecting that. Dexter's normally the good one, and he has been good. He's just, he's coughing something up. I'm not sure why. I think he might be probably the ball attached to the cat tower. And now he's on my desk. Clara has been an absolute gremlin. Anytime I turn my head away, she's always poking at something. But I've been giving her plenty of attention, so yeah. But I really want to get on with this, so if they act up too much, I'll leave them outside for a little bit. I'll shut the door. Anyway, August 18th, 1994 flight. Date, 1994. Aircraft make and model, aircraft identification mark. Points of departure and arrival from 2, miles flown, flight number, remarks, procedures, maneuvers, endorsements. So I'll try and do this in column order, but those are the columns, just so you know. So July 28th, aircraft make and model, HS125-700. Aircraft identification mark, N988JE, from TEB, TEB to DCA. Flight number 555. Remarks, procedures, Jeffrey Epstein and redacted. This was quite possibly a female victim, because some of them did show up on the manifest. Now, we've got Jim here, and Ward something. I can't quite read that. It's very, very blurry. These are possibly the pilots. So I want to say it's the pilots. Anyway, next to a 28th, and both of these are repeats. We've got DCA to IAD, and then IAD to TEB. Flight number 556 and 557. This one's a reposition. This one is JE redacted, and one female. So an unidentified female. Clara, stop it. Stop that. Okay. These ones on the 30th. Again, same plane, same identification mark. TEB to CMH and CMH to PBI. Flights 558 and 559. JE redacted. MDCG, maybe? And I want to say that says 2 females. This is JE redacted and 1 female. Anyway, August 7th, we got a different airplane make and model. G1159B. And the identification mark is N908JE from SAV to SAV. Okay, a bunch of these are from SAV to SAV. Flight number B. Waiting, maybe? Or weighing? Elgato. This is C. Virgil Wolf Test Pilot. D. E. These are Virgil Wolf Test Pilots. So these are test pilots, just making sure the thing flies. Anyway, all of these are repeats. We got August 7th, 8th, 9th, 11th, 11th, 14, 14, 16, 16, 18, 20, and 30, and then September the 1st. But the important date marked by this arrow is the 18th of August. So, I'm going to, as I say, it's all my rule to try and get the repetitive bits done first, and then we'll actually go along. Oh, look, my cats are actually sort of behaving now. There we go. So yeah, these are SAVs. These are all test pilots. So it's SAV to PBI. That's F by Sean Lancaster. PBI to Mo. These are points of departure and arrival. Flight number 569, JE GM. GM Glenn Maxwell. JE being obviously Jeffrey Epstein. And then same those two again for MDW to CMH, flight number 570. I mean, I'm just going to say the flight numbers go 571, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You know, those don't deviate apart from these test flights here. So CMH to MOW, that's JE and redacted. And we've got JE and redactions here and here as well for MDW to ASE and ASE to TVC. And then we got TVC to TEB, JE and GM and redacted. Then this one's a JE and GM, TEB to SAF. And then SAF to ASE, as JE, GM, and J. Robertson, I think, or Robert. Yeah, I think it says Robertson. I would say that's Robertson. It's very, very blurry again. And the last one is JE to GM, ASE to PBI. Now, I'm sure the Americans in the chat will know what these airport names, what these abbreviations signify as far as airports go. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with the US, so I'm a little bit ignorant of that. Anyway, okay, and this is August 20th, 1994 flight. So 20th, they're marking this one here, TVC TEB, for JEGM and a redaction. So yeah, this is actually the same form. It's the same form. So one's marked on the 18th by this arrow here, one's marked on the 20th with this arrow here. It's the same table, but there's still points of significance. Did you weather 834 medal? How are you, friend? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I've got so much energy. This new diet is really kicking off. I've got a lot of stuff done today. And why not finish this productive day with some more Epstein? Let's get a data set done. And Aaron, good to see you again. Don't panic, I'm here now. my American translator for you know, any time American terms and stuff and abbreviations confuse me. It's always good. But yeah, this is very much a group project, even though I'm the one doing all the talking. Anyway, next one. December 23rd, 1994, Interlochen. Ghislaine Maxwell, CEO J. Epstein and Company Inc., the Villard House, 457 Madison Avenue, New York, New York, 10022. Dear Ghislaine, enclosed is the envelope we recently found in clearing the Epstein Lodge. Apparently it dislodged between the wall and the dresser. It was not discovered until the unit was moved for cleaning. Okay, so what was there? So this is November 11th, 1996 flight. This is a different table. Anyway, so this is September, this is November. November the 11th is highlighted here. But I'm going to go through all of these anyway. Dates go through September 26th to November the 15th at the bottom here. The airplane make is a model is G1159B for all of it. Aircraft identification mark is N90HJE for all of them. Number of landings, these are all like one of one. This is a fairly insignificant field. Flight numbers go from 896 to 917. I see no deviations from that formula. So I'm just going to go points of departure and arrival, and then the remarks. So from TEB to CMH is just JE, and again for CMH to PBI, JE. PBI to TEB is JE, GM, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Didier. Might be a German name, it looks like, but can't 100% tell. That's the name for you guys in the chat. I'm pretty sure it says Didier, which is a German name, or Dieter. It's not Dieter, it's Dedier, or something like that. Anyway, TEB PBI is just Jeffrey Epstein. PBI to TEB is Jeffrey Epstein and one female. Again, who are these females? We do not know. But it's obviously not Ghislaine Maxwell. TEB to CMH. To CMH for pickup. So yeah, presumably Epstein flew off, like, you know, he went to CMH some other way, and they need to pick him up there. CMH to TEB, JE, Darren, Ira, what the fuck does that say? Zickelman, or something like that. And then Jeff Schwartz. Or Schwartz. TEB to PBI, JE, Didier Azum Dumek. Someone with a very Eastern European name. Very strange. This one, PBI to TEB, JE, GM, Didier Kazudumel. I think it's the same person here. Teb to Saf, JEGM and Larry. Saf to PBI, JEGM and redacted. PBI Teb, JEGM, Joe Pascal and redacted. I mean, maybe these redactions are actual names recorded, but it's just they're victims, I think. I think they're victims that have, are just called out by name on this sheet. Whereas, one female, it could be anybody. Tab to DCA, J.E. Andy Stewart, Leslie Gelb, Brian Mathis, Kester Pollock, and Stephen, whatever that is. What is that? It could be I think it starts with an R. It starts with a capital R, ends with an R, so I'm not sure. Anyway, DCA to Teb, J.E. Andy Stewart, Leslie Gebb, and Free Pax. Okay. JEGM, Dida, and this name again, Kaz Dudumek. And then the same here again for PBI to Teb. Then Teb to PBI, JE redacted Jeff Schwartz. K8 Kamzi 4 maybe redacted Glenn Child maybe Nanny and then this person here, I don't know who that is. Anyway, next one, JE. It's a lot of these same names again. Well, this one says Child, Nanny. This is redaction, redaction. Again, I can't necessarily make all these out. But JEGM, Jeff Schwartz, and Darren, whatever this name says, is also that as well. Very, very difficult to read that, even if I zoom in. Anyway, Teterboro Airport is just a Google Maps thing. 9th East 71st Street, that is Epstein's address. That is where it's located in Manhattan. Right there, right outside Central Park. So a very, very expensive place. Like Central Park prices, fucking expensive. Really expensive. But yeah, that's his address, yeah, but it's ridiculously expensive address. That was the address that the FBI combed over and took a bunch of photos of, including the one of the creepy hanged doll in the staircase, which, yeah, I pointed out during the first couple of streams. Anyway, May 9th, 1997 flight. Okay, so same rules again. Date 1997 May, so it goes from the 5th to June the 27th. Same airplane make and model and identification mark G1159B and N908JE. Okay, so from EGGW to LSGG. JE, flight number ranges from 975 to 992. There's no deviation apart from that. So we got JE, JE, JEGM, 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 and a redaction. JE, JE, redaction. JEGM, redacted. And Jack Robertson. That's clearer there. And that's from SAF to DFW. We've seen Tab, we've seen SAF. VNY, CYJT, and LFPB. Those are all new airports. I'm assuming they're in the New York area. Or possibly. I don't know. There's a lot of airports. I think one of them might be British Virgin Islands. Unsure. SAF to OFW, JEGM, Jack Robertson. Yep, DFW, PBI, JE, and a big redaction here. PBI, JFK. Reposition to JFK. JFK to PBI. JE, redacted. Mid Elfart. What a name. Redacted and Southgate. PBI to Teb is JE and a redaction. Teb to PBI, JEGM and Didier is that same name again. I do have a few German mods on the subreddit, so I will poke them and see if it's one of theirs. PBI to Teb, JEGM, Teb MVY. That's a new airport, I think. JE redaction, and I think that's Russ something. Well, it's not Rolf Harris. He turned out to be a pedo. Russ Harris, maybe. JE redaction, JE redaction, JE, JEGM. So from all these airport ones here. Ross Kips, I want to say Kippes. This one's a bit clearer. Ooh, yeah, that one was the biggie. It's supposed to be Les Wexner bought the house for him. Les Wexner was the owner of Victoria's Secret. I mean, why did Lex Wexner buy Jeffrey Epstein a fucking house? Assuming I assume Jeffrey Epstein was rich enough to do that himself, but someone else bought that for him or rented it to him. I mean, there's definitely something shady under the table, because you just don't do that. I mean, I do know in some cases the rich, they like to rent really expensive properties rather than buy, just because it works out better financially for them. I have heard that as a phenomenon. I would be curious to know if it was actually bought for him outright or rented out to him. But, from what I understand, Jeffrey Epstein owns the property in some way. DD Weaver 834. Sorry, I didn't listen. In German, what question do you have? This name here, Didier. Is that a German name? I think Dieter or Dieter is a German name, but Didier. I'm not sure. So I want to know if that's like a German name or if it could be a possible surname for somebody. I'm sure with a Google search we can work it out. Anyway, May 3rd, 1998 flight. This is the... Oh no, this is not the same thing. Okay. Damn, I was hoping for an easy way out there. Okay, April 17th to May 5th. We got some changes here. So the airplane make and model is G1159B, the one we've seen before, with the identification N908JE. And these ones here, C421 and N908GM. That's another make. And C172 and N75RR. God damn, how many private fucking planes do you need? Jesus. Okay. We got that down. Range again, I've said the range. Flight number 1098, 1099, 1100, and 1107. So it varies because it's not entered here, and here. Unless it's other logs like flight checks, test piloting, that kind of stuff, which is what we've seen before. Anyway, certification for GPS approaching. Okay, it needs to tune up. Chris Wagner, redacted. Control airports operations, and same as above. So, okay. Same as above from PBI to X21 and X21 to TIX. Whatever those are. TIX to CIG, that's Christy Rogers, redacted. SNL climbs, descending turns. So presumably putting the plane for its paces, making sure the thing works. CRG, LAL, redaction. And then it's the same here. SNL climbs, descending turns. LAL to PBI, Chris Wagner, redacted. Pell oral radials or something like that. And then Radiocom. Okay, and now we've got the actual fucking flights here. So, PB2? Oh no, PBI. That's PBI. What am I doing? To CMH. Jeffrey Epstein, redacted, and Hazel, someone called Hazel, and one female. So just some rando. CMH to LUK, JE and redacted, and the same again for LUK to TEB. TEB to PBI, JEGM, redacted, ET, and redacted. Who is ET, I wonder? Or GT? GT or ET? Is that a member of his staff? Is it a friend of his? Who's to say? GT. I mean, I want to say that probably, that could be one of the co-conspirators or somebody involved. But yeah, I'm not sure. Obviously, JEGM, we know who those are. NNA, PBI, NNA. Okay. So, Chris Wagner, no fuel approaching, emergency proceedings, classic? Oh no, class C. Short, soft, reverted takeoff, emergency landings, Chris Wagner. Okay. Traffic pattern, GMC recency, landings, Class C operations, I want to say. Yeah, around L and A. So yeah, more checks and technical stuff, which I don't understand. J, G, M, and ET. I mean, what would ET stand for? Not the film, obviously. ET being some kind of... I mean, if it's... Hear me out. My rationale is, if in these flight logs names are done in shorthand, we've seen them done in longhand before, like Hazel, for example, or Chris Wagner. You know, that would signify that those aren't necessarily people they encounter in the list often. So when you've got abbreviations like J and GM, you know, obviously those two are joined at the hip. They would often come on this plane. So other names like ET, ET, and what else was it? Yeah, ET or somebody else. I could have sworn we had or GT, I should say, GT. GT or ET could be the same, but I want to say that looks more like a G than an E. So GT, ET, you know, that probably stands to reason that that's somebody that often goes on that plane. So what do the initials stand for? Who's that familiar with Epstein that they've been, they've been shorthanded? I don't know. Anyway, JGMET, Glenn Dublin, redacted, and nanny. So I do remember there were, the fact that there are nannies on. I do know there was at least there's a couple of photos of Epstein with like a very small child. I think that was a relation to him or like the child of one of his important guests. So, I mean, I want to hope that they weren't interacted with, shall we say, in a bad way. But you never know. But, there are small children in Epstein's life, unfortunately, or were. So, the fact that they come along with a nanny, that has happened a couple of times here. Anyway, PBI to TEB, JEGM, ET or GT, redacted, Glenn, redacted, Collins? Something? Redacted, nanny, and this person, GW, that's not good. J redacted, and someone called Stephen. Thing is, not every flat was bad. Yeah, I agree. Like, some of it was probably just normal stuff. But then there's like when you get these extra things like one female, two females, and then a couple of redactions. Yeah, it's entirely possible. And we do know from Virginia Giuffre's testimony that she did go on the plane with Epstein for a couple of flights. I do know she was on a helicopter to Epstein Island specifically. She was there. Anyway, what we got here? Redacted. Section A. Date, 6/25/98. Name of student, legal name, redacted. Female, SSN redacted. Grade apply for, 12. For entrance, month, year, 9/98. Date of birth, redacted. Birthplace, city, state, redacted. Permanent address, redacted. And local address and city, state, is the ditto mark, so it's probably just repeats of these. City, state, zip, and that's redaction there. Section E. Who has financial responsibility? Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. Address 457 Madison Avenue. City, state, zip, New York, 10022. Bank reference, name and branch, JP Morgan, 5th Avenue. Do you expect to apply for financial assistance? No is selected. January 3rd, 1995 flight. Okay, same again. These take a little while to do. So, date 1994, Nov 25th, ranging to January 21st, 1995. And indeed, Jan 3rd is the one that's actually noted by this arrow here. So we've got the same G159B plane, that's fine. This is a different one, though, which appears twice. HS125-700, and the identification mark is N988JE. Okay, and flight numbers 619 to... Booyaka. To 642 over here. And doesn't look like a lot of redactions, but we got Sayers to Sari. These ones we haven't seen before, but the rest of them, PBI, TEB, CMH, PBI. I'll just note the one of interest is PBI to TEB, TEB, But I'm just going to note the remarks on under each of these. I don't necessarily need to go for the individual airports because a lot of these repeats. So we got JE, GM, 2, 3, just JE, a test flight, a reposition, JE and a redaction. Sean Lancaster, I think that's the pilot. Judo Vescourt. JE redacted. Rupert. Jack Hishaw, maybe? And Father, maybe? JE 2 females, JE 1 female, and a JE with 1 female. JE Sophie. Oh, God, is that a Sophie? I want to say this is Sophie. And I want to say this is Google. That's not Google. But that is Mitchell. Redaction. Joel Pascu and Father, maybe? And then 2 Pax. PAX. What would Pax mean? Don't know. JE redacted. Joel Pascu and Father, maybe? And 2 Pax. JE Mark Crispin, GM and 1 female. JE GM and Andy Stewart, and then 2 JE GMs. Yeah. Okay, February 2nd, 1995 flight. No, that was not a repeat of that. That is this one on the 12th. So the date range is 1995, January 23rd to March 7th. Interesting. And, okay, it's the same plane again, G159B, and identification N90BJE. This one's a simulator, for example, but apart from that, you know, it's the same plane. Flight numbers range from 643 to 662. So again, these are the same airport, same airports, I should say. God, I completely blanked there. Anyway, remarks, procedures, maneuvers, endorsements. JE and something called Luba. Reposition, JE. G1159, recurrent training, SAV. JE, Andy Stewart. GM Andy, and Henry Rezervsky, something like that. And then JE, GM Andy, Henry Riskersky, and W30, I want to say that says. JE, GM Andy, Henry Riskersky, and 1 female. Then Henry Riskersky again, or Rezevsky. Yeah, very, very hard to read some of this. Reposition for 9-month PNS something. And there's a reposition. JEGM Andy and Jack. JEGM Andy times 2. And this one's, this is Dave Seal, maybe. Position for new... What does that even say? I don't know. NIDG, COMDC, I don't know, that might be a code. Just so, bring up some extra information. Aaron coming in clutch again. According to Google, the destination PAX means passengers in transit. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, passengers in transit. So, could be anybody, pretty much. But at least we do know, like, 1 female, 2 females. You know, they'll always mention females in the logs, at least, but not necessarily the names. But the fact that we've got some witnesses and victims coming forward that can corroborate that information means we've got, you know, the arrow and stuff like, you know, them clearly on here. So 1 female was mentioned under the one with an arrow. So presumably they found that 1 female and they were able to get some information off her. That's a redaction. That's a redaction. April 22nd, 2016, deposition. Guys, chill out. United States District Court, Southern District of New York. Sorry, cats are playing in the corridor. Redacted. Plaintiff against Ghislaine Maxwell, defendants. Case number 15 CV 07433 RWS. Confidential. Videotaped deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell taken pursuant to subpoena was held at the law offices of Boyce, Schiller and Flexner, 575 Lexington Avenue, New York, commencing April 22nd, 2016, 9:04 a.m. on the above date, before Leslie Fagan, a court reporter, a notary public in the state of New York. I'm not sure if this is the one I've done before, or if this is some new stuff involving Maxwell, but harden your hearts and your stomachs with this one, if it's the one I think it is. Oh no. Q. Did Jeffrey Epstein have a scheme to recruit underage girls for sexual massages? Mr. Peglukia? Objection to the form and foundation. If you know, question, if you know, answer, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so rather than the whole thing, this is just snippets of it taken to present as evidence. That's fine. So, Q. List all the people under the age of 18 that you interacted with at any of Jeffrey's properties. A. I'm not aware of anybody that I interacted with, other than obviously redacted, who was 17 at this point. That might be Ghislaine Maxwell, I'm not sure. July 22nd, 2016 deposition. United States District Court, Southern District of New York. Redacted, plaintiff against Ghislaine Maxwell defendant. Case number 15CV07433 RWS. Confidential. Continued videotaped deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant herein, taken pursuant to subpoena, was held at the law offices of Boyce, Schiller and Flexner, LLP, 575 Lexington Avenue, New York, commencing July 22nd, 2016, 9:04 a.m. on the above date, before Leslie Fagan, a court reporter and notary public in the state of New York. Question. Were you aware of the presence of sex toys or devices used in sexual activities in Mr. Epstein's Palm Beach house? Mr. Peglukia. Objection to form and foundation. Answer. No, not that I recall. How the fuck do you say that? P-A-G-L-I-U-C-A. Peglukia. Peglukia? Maybe. Peglucia, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Q. Do you know whether Mr. Epstein possessed sex toys or devices used in sexual activities? Mr. Peglukia. Objection to form and foundation. Answer. No. Question. Other than yourself and the blonde and brunette that you have identified as having been involved in freeway sexual activities, with whom did Mr. Epstein have sexual activities? Mr. Peglukia. Objection to form and foundation. A. I wasn't aware that he was having sexual activities with anyone when I was with him other than myself. Q. I want to be sure that I'm clear. Is it your testimony that in the 1990s and 2000s, you were not aware that Mr. Epstein was having sexual activities with anyone other than yourself and the blonde and brunette on those few occasions when they were involved with you? A. That is my testimony. That is correct. So yeah, Mr. Pagduko is obviously the defense attorney, you know, throwing up a bunch of objections and, you know, partly coaching Maxwell to basically say nothing, I reckon. But yeah, you can see why she's not cooperating. Even now, when she's nailed down and she's in prison, she refuses to testify. So I'm thinking, just put her in a worse prison. Like, go for that Supermax that they've got El Chapo in, where they're in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day. They only get let out for an hour, like very minimal contact, and they're not even allowed to talk. Stick her in that, and she'll crack. Question. Let's just tie that down. It is your testimony that you've never given anybody a massage. A. I have not given anyone a massage. Q. You never gave Mr. Epstein a massage. Is that your testimony? A. That is my testimony. Q. You never gave redacted a massage in your testimony. A. I never gave redacted a massage. Right. We're done with that file. Alright. Looks like this is going to be an even longer file. So, let's get to it. United States Grand Jury, Southern District of New York, United States of America v. Ghislaine Maxwell, 201-8R-016-1A, January 19, 2021, additional. So this is after he killed himself. This will be interesting to see. United States Courthouse, Foley Square, New York, March 29, 2021, 10:05 a.m. Appearances. Redacted and redacted, both United States Attorney. Yes, they fucked up the text here. And redacted. Grand jury reporter. And this is a repeat. We don't need to do that. Colloquy proceeds. Witness enters room. Time noted 10:14 a.m. Oh fuck, my throat's going again. Almost wonder if they got someone with horrible handwriting as a tactic. It wouldn't surprise me at this rate. Although that said, out the evidence, the evidence taken directly from Epstein, like, his handwriting was god-awful. Maxwell's was a lot tidier. But yeah, a lot tidier. Also, XXHEMZXX. I don't know how I meant to pronounce that name. Hi, hello. Anyway, time noted 10:14 a.m. Redacted called as a witness, having been duly sworn by the full person of the grand jury, was examined and testified as follows. By misredacted. So, rather than mention Q&A a lot, I'm going to alternate with voices. That'll make it a bit quicker, and it'll give a little bit of immersion to this. So, good morning. Good morning. Would you please state your name for the record? Detective Redacted. Detective Redacted, where do you work? New York City Police Department. I'm going to ask you to please keep your voice up and speak as slowly as you can. Unidentified speaker. There's nothing there. Probably illegible. Probably like a noise or something. By misredacted. And you can pull the microphone toward you so that everyone in this big room can hear you. Thank you. Where do you work? New York City Police Department. What is your title there? Detective. How long have you been with the NYPD? About 15 years. Are you currently part of a federal task force? Yes. What task force? The Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force with the FBI. What is your title on the task force? Task Force Officer. How long have you been a task force officer with the FBI? Since about 2017. Generally, what are your duties and responsibilities in the task force? We address cases of child sex trafficking, adult sex trafficking, child pornography, and child enticement. Over the last approximately 3 years, have you been involved in an investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and his associates, including an individual named Ghislaine Maxwell? Yes. During your investigation, have you spoken with other people, including other law enforcement officers? Yes. Have you reviewed reports and documents prepared by others and transcripts of testimony in other court and grand jury proceedings? Yes. Will your testimony today be based in part on those conversations and documents that you have reviewed? Yes. Ms. Redacted. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the testimony you are going to hear from Detective Redacted will include hearsay. That means he is not going to testify only from his own personal observations, he will also be testifying about what other people have told him and what he has read in documents. Hearsay evidence, as you know, is admissible and proper in these proceedings, and you are permitted to rely on it in determining whether there is probable cause to indict the defendant. But if you want to hear testimony from other witnesses, or see particular documents, please let me know, and I will make my best efforts to bring those before you. By misredacted. Q. Detective Redacted, over the course of your investigation, has another member of the FBI task force you're a part of testified before a different grand jury about the facts of this case? Yes. I'd like to ask you to please pick up what should be in front of you and marked as Grand Jury Exhibit 3. Do you recognize that? Yes. Is this document a fair and accurate transcript of testimony given by FBI Special Agent Redacted before a different grand jury on June 29th, 2020? Yes. I'd like to read back a portion of this transcript. We will start at page 2, line 18. I will read the questions, you read the answers. Where do you currently work? The Federal Bureau of Investigation. What is your title? Special Agent. How long have you worked as a Special Agent? About 3 years now. Where are you currently assigned? I work on the Violent Crimes Against Children Squad. What are your duties and responsibilities as a Special Agent on that squad? We investigate crimes that have to do with child sexual abuse material, sextortion, exploitation, and enticement of minors, sex trafficking. Misredacted. You can stop there. I'll now jump to page 4, line 13. By misredacted. Have you participated in an investigation of Ghislaine Maxwell? Yes, I have. Have you spoken to other people, including other law enforcement officers, about this investigation? Yes. Have you reviewed reports and documents prepared by others regarding this case? Yes. Is your testimony today based in part of those conversations with other law enforcement officers and documents that you have reviewed? Yes. Misredacted. Stepping out of the readback. At this point, the AUSA provided the same hearsay instruction to the grand jury at that time as I just provided you all. So that instruction applies with respect to Redacted's testimony the same way it applies to Detective Redacted's testimony. We can now go down to page 5, line 17, by Ms. Redacted. Redacted. We've placed on the desk in front of you a PowerPoint that is Grand Jury Exhibit 2, which we're entering into the record. Do you recognize this? Yes. What is it? It's a PowerPoint presentation to assist in testifying today. Did you participate in preparing this exhibit in connection with your testimony today? Yes, I did. If you could please turn to the first slide. Who are the individuals depicted in these photographs? The picture on the left is Ghislaine Maxwell, and the picture on the right is Jeffrey Epstein with Ghislaine Maxwell. And we saw those clear pictures earlier. They were on the plane. Based on your participation in this investigation and your review of public source materials, have Maxwell and Epstein been photographed together many times over the years? Yes. Based on your participation in this investigation and your review of public materials, where is Maxwell from? Maxwell was born in France, she grew up in the United Kingdom, was educated in Oxford, and is from a wealthy family. Is she a citizen of France, the United Kingdom, and the United States? Yes. How old is she currently? 58. Has the FBI investigated Maxwell and Epstein's conduct with minors during the 1990s? Yes. Generally speaking, what have you learned about the relationship between Maxwell and Epstein during the 1990s? Epstein and Maxwell had a romantic relationship, and she also worked for him, managing his homes, hiring and firing individuals. During that time period, was she one of his closest associates? Yes. During the course of this investigation, have you learned where Epstein maintained properties in the 1990s? Yes. Where did he maintain properties? New York, Palm Beach, and New Mexico. Turning to the next slide, did he maintain an address in Manhattan, located at 9 East 71st Street? Yes. Does this slide fairly and accurately depict their residence? Yes. Can you please describe that property for the grand jury? It's a 7-story home. It's located near Central Park. It's reportedly the largest residence in Manhattan. Based on your participation in this investigation, did that house include a room that was used as a massage room? Yes, it did. Alright, we'll talk more about that later, but for now, moving on to the other properties. Did he maintain an address in Palm Beach, Florida, located at 358 Opera Way? Yes. Turning to the next slide, does this slide fairly and accurately depict the residence? Yes, it does. Could you please describe that property for the grand jury? It's a waterfront estate. It has an in-ground pool and a detached dwelling, or pool house, on the property as well. Oh, fuck. Aside, and from your participation in this investigation and your review of other materials, did that house include a room that was used as a massage room? Yes. Turning to the next property, did Epstein also own a ranch in New Mexico? Yes, he did. And turning to the next slide, was that a property located at 490 Ranch Road in Stanley, New Mexico? Yes. Looking at the photograph on this slide, does this accurately depict that property? Yes, it does. And we've been talking about the properties that Epstein owned during this time period. Did he also own a private jet? Yes. Is it fair to say that he was a multi-millionaire during this time period? Yes. During the 1990s, did Epstein have an employee, Redacted, who ran his house in Palm Beach? Yes, he did. What was his job? His job was making sure that everything in the house ran smoothly. He described that Epstein liked to have his house run like a 5-star hotel, that everything had to be in its proper place, so he was responsible for managing that. Have you interviewed Redacted? Yes. How many times? Twice. And is the information you're about to provide based on your interviews with Redacted? Yes. Did Redacted begin working for Epstein in the early 1990s? Yes, he did. At the time, Redacted came to work for Epstein in Palm Beach. Was Epstein dating Ghislaine Maxwell at that point? Not at that time. Was it a few years before Epstein began dating Maxwell after Redacted started working there? Yes. Ms. Redacted, I'm going to step out of the readback. It sounds like the grand jurors are having difficulty hearing. Are you having difficulty hearing me? The witness? Or both? Grand jurors. The witness. Ms. Redacted. So, Detective Redacted, I'm going to ask you to please keep your voice up. Try to shout into the microphone. Can you pull the microphone towards you? Lift it and pull it all the way up to you. Thank you. We left off reading at page 10, line 12. By Ms. Redacted. From what Redacted told you, how did Redacted work change once Maxwell arrived on the scene? Redacted described Epstein as being more pleasant to work with prior to Maxwell coming into the picture. Once she came into the picture, he said things became more secretive. He wasn't allowed to be in the room with guests, wasn't allowed to talk with them, associate with them. It became a different environment. Ms. Redacted. Detective Redacted, I'm going to ask you to take the microphone and try to put it right under where your mouth would be when you're reading, because as you're looking down, you're moving your mouth away from the microphone. Thank you. Picking back up at page 10, line 20. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing during this. Detective! Speak into the fucking mic. Wahahaha. Or better yet, get a mic like mine, turn up the sensitivity, and that's problem solved. You know, sometimes I do that if I have to sit back and I've got one of the cats in my lap, which is normally Clara, I admit. Clara loves it. Clara's very much a lap cat when she actually isn't being a nutty goober. But Dexter, he just likes to sit next to me, and he's calm and cool, but he doesn't like being picked up. I do pick him up sometimes, and he gets used to it, but he's very much more independent, but he's very, very affectionate. But he did take a little while for him to come around. But yeah. Sometimes I do need to change the mic sensitivity, especially if my cat is purring on my lap. It's not the easiest thing sometimes, but yeah, it's great fun. It's always good to have company. But Detective, get it together. Anyway, sorry, I shouldn't be. I can't help but to joke a little bit when I'm doing stuff like this. By Misredacted. You talked about some of the rules that were placed, changing. Were there any rule changes about eye contact once Maxwell began staying at the Palm Beach house? Yes. Redacted wasn't allowed to make eye contact with Epstein and others. Misredacted. We're going to jump now to page 11, line 6. By Misredacted. Shifting gears, I want to talk to you about someone else that you've interviewed during this investigation. During the course of this investigation, have you participated in interviews with an individual named Redacted? Yes. So for these purposes, I'm just going to refer to her as Redacted. Is that okay? Yes. How many times have you interviewed Redacted? Approximately 5 times. If you could please just page through the next 2 slides in front of you. Are these photographs of Redacted? Yes. Is it your understanding that these photographs depict Redacted from approximately ages 13 to approximately 17? Yes, it does. Okay, let's take a look at some of these photographs. I'm going to publish the next slide. Is Redacted's date of birth redacted? Yes. Are these 2 photographs of Redacted? Yes, they are. If you could turn to the second side of photographs, are these also photographs of Redacted? Yes. Based on your participation in this investigation and your interviews with Redacted, where was she living when she was approximately 14 years old? She was living in Palm Beach, Florida. Who was she living with when she was 14? Her mother and her siblings. What was her whole life like at that time? At that time, her father had passed away the year prior, so the family was struggling financially and having some difficulties. What did Redacted's father do before he passed away? What was his profession? He was involved in Redacted? Redacted. Was Redacted involved in Redacted? Yes, she was. Were her siblings? Yes. What kinds of Redacted were they involved in? Singing. She was a singer. Like what kind of singer? Opera. In the summer of 1994, how old was Redacted? She was 13, going on 14. You testified earlier that her birthday was in Redacted. So did she turn 14 in Redacted? Yes. What did she do that summer? She attended an arts camp at Interlochen Center for the Arts. And is Interlochen Summer Arts Program located in Michigan? Yes. Did Redacted meet Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell that summer? Dex, get out the way. My cat is sat right in front of my monitor. Let's get you moving along. There's a good boy. There's a good boy. Stay here. There's a good boy. Yes, you are. It's okay. I gave you a little bit of attention earlier. I'll do it once the stream ends. Although that won't be for another hour or 2. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Right, where the fuck was I? Okay, yes. And is Interlochen Summer Arts Program located in Michigan? Yes. Did Redacted meet Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell that summer? Yes, she did. Did she meet them at summer camp? Yes. What did she tell you about that? She said that she was sitting at a picnic table with friends when Epstein and Maxwell walked by. They stopped to talk to her, engaged her in conversation, asked her if she liked her classes, her teachers. During that conversation, she found out that she was also from Palm Beach, and that he said he gives scholarships to students. How did they leave the conversation? Was there any contact information exchanged? They asked for Redacted's phone number. As part of your investigation, have you attempted to gather records to corroborate that redacted, Maxwell and Epstein were all at that summer camp that summer? Yes. If you could turn to the next slide, please. Have you obtained records from Interlochen for the summer of 1994? Yes. And what are we looking at on this slide? This shows who, some of the individuals that were there were present for that camp in 94. On here is redacted, redacted, redacted. And have you investigated whether Maxwell and Epstein were also at Interlochen that summer of 1994, as redacted described? Yes. Based on your review of records from Interlochen, what is your understanding of Epstein's relationship with Interlochen? My understanding was that he was a donor to the school. Did he make any substantial donations? He did. Did he donate a lodge to the camp in the summer of 1994? Yes, he did. Did he have a long-standing relationship as a donor to Interlochen? Yes. Turning to the next slide, is this an excerpt of a letter from Interlochen to Epstein? Yes, it is. And does this letter thank Epstein for donating a scholarship lodge? Yes. Does it invite Epstein to visit in August of 1994? Yes. In 1994, did Epstein have a private jet? Yes, he did. Have you obtained the flight logs for that jet? Yes. Do those logs include passenger lists and the airport code for the airports the plane flew into and out of? Yes. Turning to the next slide, is this a page of the flight logs that you reviewed? Yes. And on this excerpt of the flight logs, where the red arrow is that a log entry showing an August 18th, 1994 flight to an airport with the airport code TBC? Yes. Is TBC the airport code for Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City, Michigan? Yes, it is. About how far is that airport from Interlochen by car? About 25 minutes, give or take. And who are the listed passengers in this flight? Jeffrey Epstein, redacted, and redacted. Turning to the next slide, is it the same excerpt, just with a different arrow? Yes. Okay, so a few lines down, is there a flight out of Traverse City just 2 days later, on August 20th, 1994? Yes. And do the passengers listed in the flight out of Traverse City include the initials GM? Yes, they do. Are those Ghislaine Maxwell's initials? Initials? Yes. It's weird because we've done this literal interview stuff before. It's just somebody else reading it back. This is it's a bit bizarre. Have you obtained any records from Interlochen to indicate that Maxwell was at Interlochen in 1994? Yes. If we could turn to the next slide, can you please explain for the grand jury what we're looking at on this slide? This was a letter from Interlochen explaining, addressed to Maxwell, telling her that they had found an envelope in the lodge that they had been staying. Alright, we were talking a few minutes ago about how Redacted described meeting Maxwell and Epstein at summer camp, and you testified that she provided them with her phone number. Did Redacted explain to you whether or not she had any contact with Epstein or Maxwell after she returned home to Palm Beach? Yes. When was the next time that happened? Shortly thereafter. And how did that occur? She was invited to his house, so her and her mother went to Epstein's house to visit. What did Redacted tell you about that visit to Epstein's house with her mother? She said it was... Wait, can you rephrase that? Of course. Did Redacted go to the house by herself or with her mother? With her mother. Okay. When they went to the house, what did they do there? They had tea. Who was there when they had tea at the house? Epstein and Maxwell. What did they discuss as they had tea? They just talked about her life and, what she wanted to do. Did Epstein make any offers? He said that he gives scholarships. He likes to mentor people. How did Redacted's mother react when Epstein said this? She was happy for her daughter and oftentimes referred to Epstein as Redacted's godfather. After that occasion, when they went over to the house thereafter, did Redacted subsequently begin regularly spending time with Maxwell and Epstein at Epstein's house in Palm Beach? Yes. Did that start when she was approximately age 14? Yes. Did it continue until she was about age 17? Yes, it did. And during those years, does she regularly go over to Epstein's house in Palm Beach and spend time with Maxwell and Epstein? Yes. What happened in the summer of 1997 when Redacted was 17, about to turn 18? She moved to New York City. Why did she move to New York City? She wanted to pursue a career in acting and modeling. We'll talk about that in a moment, but for now I want to focus on the years you talked about. In Palm Beach, from the ages 14 to 17, when Redacted would regularly go to Epstein's house. In the beginning, in the first few months when she went there, what kinds of things did she do when she would visit the house when Maxwell and Epstein were there? A. They'd hang out by the pool. They would take her to the movies, take her shopping. She described the behavior as grooming. When you say grooming, did she explain what she meant by that? She meant that they were building a relationship with her, giving her things, taking her places, and then usually when the grooming happens, an offender will... Once they gain that trust, they will make their relationship turn sexual. Now, you testified just a moment ago that Redacted described to you that she felt at this time period they were grooming her. Is that right? Yes. Is that something that she realized at the time when she was 14, or is that something she's described to you now? Something she's described now. She didn't realize that at the time. So we'll talk a little bit more about grooming in a moment, but just to give context, are you familiar with the term grooming based on your experience investigating crimes involving sexual exploitation of minors? Yes. Generally speaking, you were touching on this a moment ago, but if you could just explain it in full, what is grooming? Grooming is when someone builds a relationship with a child. They will find a vulnerability or a need, and then they work on gaining that child's trust, and then oftentimes gaining a parent's trust. Once they have that trust, they show that in ways that they can care about them, like giving them gifts and promises. And then once that's established, they then turn the relationship sexual, oftentimes making sexual comments and normalizing the behavior. Now, during these visits that you've been describing, that Redacted told you about, did Redacted say whether Epstein ever gave her anything? Yes, she did. What did he give her? He gave her cash. Sometimes he'd tell her to give the cash to her mum because he knew that they needed it. He paid for her voice lessons as well. Now, you were describing how Redacted has characterized these visits now, but based on your conversations with her, at the time, did she feel that these visits were strange at all? She thought they were strange, but Maxwell normalized it for her. She was like a cool older sister and made comments like, "This is what grown-ups do." You used the phrase cool, older sister. Is that a phrase that Redacted used to describe how she felt about Maxwell at the time and what Maxwell was like? Yes. Those are her words. Did there come a time, these visits, when Redacted saw Maxwell topless by the pool? Yes. What did she tell you about that? She was a little taken aback, but Maxwell just acted normal. Did Redacted tell you about an incident several months into this arrangement when she was alone with Epstein in the poolhouse? Yes. And when they were alone together, did Epstein ask Redacted what she wanted to do with her life? He did. What did she say? She said she wanted to be an actress and a model. How did Epstein respond? He told her that he was best friends with the owner of Victoria's Secret, told her that she would have to have photographs taken, and that she had to be comfortable in her underwear and not be a prude. When she was asked what she meant by that, he pulled her into his lap and masturbated. Fucking Christ. What was her reaction? She felt paralyzed. She froze. After this incident, did Redacted's encounters with Epstein begin to include sexual contact? Yes. Over time, did the sexual abuse escalate? It did. From what she's described to you, did the abuse include Epstein digitally penetrating Redacted? Yes. Did it include Epstein using a vibrator on her? Yes. Did she describe to you that there were times when Epstein would direct Redacted to massage him while he masturbated? Yes. Did Redacted explain to you what her memories are like of the abuse? Yes. What did she say about that? She said that it happens so often that it all runs together for her. That it's hard to separate out some of the different instances of abuse. You were describing how Redacted explained to you that the abuse began. Did that occur based on what Redacted told you within the first year that she met Epstein and Maxwell? Yes. Now, did Redacted also describe to you that once this abuse started, Epstein would also bring her into his massage room at his house? Was that a cat? Yes. And there were times where he did this when there were other women present, including Maxwell. Yes. Was Redacted abused during those episodes? Yes, she was. During these group encounters, what were Redacted and the adult women wearing? They were usually just in their underwear. Once they were all in the massage room, how would these episodes generally start? They would generally start with one of the girls massaging Epstein. Redacted was usually massaging his feet. Maxwell was kind of teasing the other girls. She'd grab the girls' breasts and she would direct the girls on what to do. When these episodes would start, in general, was Epstein generally lying face down on the massage table? Yes. What would happen as things progressed, generally speaking, from what she described to you? When Epstein would decide he was kind of done with the regular massage, he would turn over on his back and he'd grab whichever girl he wanted to, either touch him or whatever girl he wanted to touch. Did these episodes include sex acts that, over time, in various instances, included Epstein masturbating? Epstein receiving oral sex, and Epstein engaging in intercourse. Yes. You were describing for a moment what Redacted told you about Maxwell's role during these group encounters. Would Maxwell sometimes guide the women and give instructions about what to do? Yes, she would. What would Redacted typically do during these episodes? She would try not to look at Maxwell because she gave off that sister vibe, so it felt weird for her. She would try to be invisible in the room, so they would ignore her as much as possible. In the beginning, when Redacted is approximately 14 or 15, would she generally begin by just massaging Epstein's feet? Yes. Is that something she was told to do? Yes. Did she... You mentioned that she tried to be invisible. I believe that was your testimony. Yes. And over time, has she described to you that over time she believed she became more involved in the sexual activity which varied in each encounter? Yes. Were there times... Let me rephrase that. How did... You touched on this for a moment, but just to be clear, how did Redacted describe Maxwell's attitude during these incidents? It was very casual. She acted like this was normal. She gave off that vibe to her and, yeah. Did that make her feel more comfortable with what was happening? It did. Was Redacted sometimes fully nude during these episodes? Yes. And during these episodes, did the abuse include Epstein touching Redacted's breasts? Yes. Did it include redirecting Redacted to touch Epstein's genitals? Yes. Beginning when Redacted's approximately 14, does she begin to travel with Epstein and Maxwell to New York City on occasion? Yes, she did. Was that to the property you testified about earlier? The townhouse on the Upper East Side? Yes. When Redacted traveled to New York City, did she stay in Epstein's townhouse in New York City? Yes, she did. Did she recall that Maxwell and Epstein took her shopping on one of her earlier trips to New York City? Shit, I remember this. Yes. Did she remember them buying her anything? She recalled them buying her white cotton underwear. Her description was that they were like little girls' underwear. From ages 14 to 17, did Epstein ask Redacted to periodically fly to New York for weekends at that townhouse in New York? I'm sorry, say it again? You testified that she began traveling to New York City at age 14. Did she then periodically travel to New York City in a similar manner from ages 14 to 17? Yes. Were there times when she traveled on those trips, when she flew on Epstein's private jet? Yes. Did she also sometimes fly commercially? Yes, she did. Was Maxwell sometimes present on the trips to New York? Yes. You testified earlier that Redacted was sexually abused in Palm Beach. Did she describe to you that she was also sexually abused on these trips to New York? Yes, she did. Did Maxwell encourage Redacted to go on these trips? Yes. What did Redacted tell you about her memory of how these trips were arranged? She recalled that Maxwell was usually the one that would schedule her flights. If she was flying commercially, she would schedule the flights, sometimes calling her mother to schedule. Was that the general impression of how they were arranged? Yes. In addition to the trips to New York City you just described, did Redacted also remember traveling, at least once, to Epstein's ranch in New Mexico? Yes, she did. Does she remember whether or not she was sexually abused in New Mexico? She couldn't recall. She couldn't remember. In general, how would Redacted get to the airport in Florida when she would fly on Epstein's jet? What did she describe to you? Usually a driver. One of Epstein's drivers would pick her up from her house and take her to the airport. Now, you testified earlier that you reviewed flight records for Epstein's private jet. Is that correct? Yes. And have you reviewed records from the 1990s to see whether there's a person named Redacted listed on the records? Yes. Turning to the next slide, is this an excerpt from those records? Yes, it is. And does the red arrow point to a November 11th, 1996 flight? Yes, it does. And does this flight log reflect that it was a flight from Palm Beach, Florida to Teterboro, New Jersey? Yes. Is there a private airfield in Teterboro, New Jersey? Yes, there is. What's it called? Teterboro Airport. Are the passengers listed on this entry JE? Yes. Do the entries also include Redacted, plus friend, Jeff Shams, family, Redacted, and Redacted? Yes. Was Redacted, based on your awareness of Redacted's date of birth and the date of this flight, was Redacted 16 on the date of the flight? On the date of this flight? Yes, she was. Turning to the next slide. You testified earlier about Teterboro Airport. What are we looking at on this slide? This is directions from Teterboro Airport to Epstein's residence here in Manhattan. So based on your review of this map, if someone were to fly into Teterboro and travel to New York City, would the most natural route be to travel to Teterboro Airport and crossing into New York through Manhattan? Yes. Turning to the next slide. Is this also an excerpt from the flight records that you reviewed? Yes, it is. And does this show a May 9th, 1997 flight from Teterboro, New Jersey to Santa Fe, New Mexico? Yes, it does. And are the passengers listed on this log JE, GM, and redacted? Yes. Based on your knowledge of Redacted's birth date and the date of this flight, would Redacted have been 16 on the date of this flight? Yes, she would have been. Turning to the next slide, is this also an excerpt from the flight records? Yes. And does the red arrow point to a flight entry on May 3rd, 1998? Yes, it does. Based on the airport codes, did this reflect that there is a flight on that date from Palm Beach, Florida to Teterboro, New Jersey? Yes. And are the passengers listed on this log JE, GM, ET, redacted, Glenn, redacted, Manny, redacted? Yes. Based on your knowledge of Redacted's birthday and the date of this flight, would Redacted have been 17 on this date? Yes. Am I correct that you testified earlier that in addition to sometimes flying on Epstein's private jet, she also travelled on commercial airlines? Is that right? Yes, it is. Based on your review of these flight logs, does every flight entry list the name of every single passenger, or are there some times where a passenger is noted female? There's times where a passenger is just noted female. I'm going to talk to you about 2 examples of that. Turning ahead, 2 slides. Looking at slide 18, does this reflect a January 3rd, 1995 flight, where the flight log says JE, 2 females? Yes, it does. And do the 2 entries below also just list female next to the initials JE? Yes, they do. Turning to the next slide, slide 19. Is this another example of an entry like that, focusing on the entry on February 12, 1995? Yes. Does that entry also say female? Yes, it does. Now, you testified that Redacted sometimes flew on commercial airlines, and that arrangements for her travel were made for her to fly commercially for these trips, is that right? Yes. Have you been able to obtain commercial flight records? We tried. We were not able to obtain those records. Why is that? Airlines do not keep records past a certain year. Does Redacted recall group sexualized massages involving Epstein and Maxwell in both the New York and Florida residences during the time period we've been talking about? Yes. You testified earlier about the time that Epstein and Maxwell would spend together, and the activities that they were involved in. During this time period, did Redacted have occasions to talk with Maxwell? I'm sorry, can you ask the question again? During the beginning, when she was 14, when she began spending time with Epstein and Maxwell, and through the years, did Redacted often have conversations with Maxwell about her life? Yes. Did they talk about that often? They did. Did Maxwell ask Redacted about her family, her classes, and other aspects of her life? Yes, she did. You testified earlier, just before she turned 18, Redacted moved to New York City, is that right? Yes. Did she go to school there in New York City, her senior year? Yes, she did. What school did she go to? She went to the Redacted. What is the Redacted? They cater to individuals who want to pursue careers in the arts. Have you reviewed records from the Redacted? Yes. If you could turn to slide 17, can you please explain for the grand jury what we're looking at here? This is an excerpt from Redacted's application to the Redacted. On it is listed who is financially responsible for her, and that is Jeffrey Epstein. From what Redacted told you, did Maxwell encourage Redacted to accept Epstein's financial help? Yes. When Redacted moved to New York City, who was she living with? She lived with her mother and her brother in Redacted's apartment. Did Epstein help pay for her rent? He did. During that year, her senior year of high school, when she was in New York City, did Redacted remain in contact with Epstein? Yes. What was the nature of their contact like during that time period? During this time, he was still sexually abusing her. Did that continue to occur at his townhouse in Manhattan that year? Yes, it did. What happened at the end of her senior year of high school? She moved to Los Angeles to pursue a career in acting. Did she get a job as an actress when she turned 18? She did. Has Redacted lived in Los Angeles and worked as an actress on television ever since then? Yes. After she moved to Los Angeles, did she continue being in touch with Epstein? For a short period of time. Did she ultimately break contact with him? Yes, she did. Is Redacted currently pursuing a civil lawsuit against Maxwell and Epstein's estate? Yes. Have you talked with Redacted about whether, when she was a teenage girl and all of this was happening, whether she told anyone that she was being sexually abused? Yes. She said she didn't tell anyone. She felt like she couldn't. Nothing was talked about outside of that room, so it made it so that she couldn't talk about it. And then her mother is Middle Eastern, and her mother raised her that women are supposed to do what they're told, even if someone is beating you. When she was 13 and her father passed, she went to a guidance counselor at school to talk about it, and her mother found out about it and smacked her. She felt like she couldn't talk to anyone about it. Did Redacted's mother encourage her to accept Epstein's financial assistance? Yes, she did. Have you become aware that in 2005, police officers from the Palm Beach Police Department executed a search warrant at Epstein's house at the El Brillo Way address in Palm Beach? Yes. Have you reviewed some of the materials seized during the search? Yes. Did they find massage tables and sex toys? Yes, they did. Did they find any photographs of Redacted? Yes. Was one of the photographs signed by Redacted? Yes, it was. Did it say Redacted? Yes. During your interviews with Redacted, did Redacted tell you how she felt about Epstein and Maxwell in the 90s, when she was a young girl? She did. She expressed that she felt like they loved her. She felt they were her family, that they supported her, and that they felt like she was made to feel that she was needed to be grateful to them. Okay. Did she tell you that she felt like they were trying to help her? Yes. Have you talked with Redacted about how she feels about this now? Yes. What was Redacted's demeanor like when she described to you what Epstein and Maxwell have done to her? She was upset. She's recognized that now. It's affected her life to a great degree. She struggled in relationships with opening up to people and trusting people, both personal and professional relationships. Did she tell you that she struggled to tell anyone what had happened to her for most of her adulthood? Yes. When was the first time you interviewed Redacted? Last fall. Was that the first time she ever reported this to law enforcement? Yes, it was. Now, you testified earlier about your interviews with Redacted, who worked at Epstein's Palm Beach house. Did you remember a girl named Redacted coming to the house during that time? Yes, he did. Did you recall Redacted, Maxwell, and Epstein meeting in the Palm Beach house together? Yes. What was his understanding of why Redacted was there? He thought that Epstein was helping her. That's what Epstein had told him, and Redacted had told him that Epstein was helping her. Did he ever observe Epstein interacting with Redacted physically? Yes. What did he see? He saw Epstein kiss Redacted's cheek and pat her on the bottom. Did he have any knowledge about what was happening with Epstein or Maxwell when he wasn't present? He didn't. Did Redacted ever recall picking up Redacted from her house? Yes. And when he would pick her up from her house, would he then bring her back to the Palm Beach house? Yes. Did he remember who, in general, would tell him to pick up Redacted from her house? Maxwell would be the one to tell him to pick her up. Did he recall ever driving Redacted to the movies? Yes. What did he tell you about that? That would usually be Epstein, Maxwell, and Redacted. They would go to the movies, and it would usually be late at night. Did he tell you about what his memory was about how old Redacted was? He said she was young, and that he knew that because he had picked her up from school, and that he knew she was too young to drive. Switching gears, I want to talk to you about a different aspect of your interviews with Redacted. Based on what he told you about his job duties, were there ever times where he would have to clean Epstein's massage room? Yes. What did he tell you about that? He said that he found sex toys in the massage room, and he had to wash them afterwards. Aside from those experiences, was he aware if there were any sex toys in the house? Yes. There was a basket of sex toys that were kept in Maxwell's closet. Did Redacted stop working for Epstein in approximately 2002? Yes. Was he told that he was being replaced? Yes. And was he generally aware that the person who replaced him was much younger? Yes. Did Redacted tell you that a few months after he left working for Epstein, he became suicidal because of issues in his marriage? Yes. Did he tell you that he went to Epstein's house and tried to take Epstein's gun? Yes, he did. Did he tell you that it's worth several $1,000s? Yes. Did Epstein discover this and confront him about it? Yes, he did. Did Redacted admit to Epstein and the police what he had done? Yes. Did Epstein also tell the police his gun was missing? Yes. Were there any charges filed? No. Was he ever arrested? I don't believe so. And did Epstein pursue any charges about this incident? No. He didn't pursue anything. Have you interviewed one of Epstein's former pilots? Yes. Is that pilot named David Rogers? Yes. Was he one of the pilots for Epstein's private jet in the 1990s? Yes. Did he remember Redacted travelling on the jet in the 90s? He remembered her travelling, but he didn't remember specifics. So just to be clear, is your testimony that he didn't remember the specific dates of the flights, but he remembered her travelling on the jet during the 1990s? Yes. And did he remember Redacted, specifically as a person who travelled? Yes. Did you discuss with him the flight records that we talked about earlier that lists a person named Redacted as a passenger? Yes. Did he have a specific memory of those exact flights? No. But was he aware of any other Redacted flying on the jet besides Redacted in the 1990s? No other Redacted at the time. Earlier, when we were looking at Interlochen attendance records for the summer of 1994, you noted that Redacted was one of the names on that record, is that right? Yes. Is that Redacted? Yes. Have you interviewed Redacted? Yes, I have. Did he tell you that he remembered Redacted talking that summer at camp about having met Jeffrey Epstein? Yes. Did he tell you that he remembered Redacted going over to Epstein's house in Palm Beach when they were in high school? Yes. Did he remember that Redacted would often talk about spending time with Maxwell and Epstein during this time? Yes. Did he remember Redacted telling him when they were in high school, about at least one trip to New York City that she took with Epstein? Yes. Did he remember Redacted describing Epstein's townhouse in Manhattan? Yes. And does he remember Redacted talking often about Ghislaine Maxwell? Yes. Now, based on your interviews with Redacted, did he tell you whether he knew back then, when they were in high school, whether Redacted was being sexually abused by Epstein? He didn't know back then. Did Redacted ever meet Ghislaine Maxwell? Yes, he did. What did he remember about that? He remembered Epstein, Maxwell, and Redacted being near a movie theatre, and he was approximately 16 at the time, and Redacted would have been 15, and just a little bit of interaction they had. And then after that, Redacted had told him that Maxwell had said something to the effect of, "I could teach Redacted a thing or two." Is that something that he remembers Redacted telling him back then, that Maxwell said? Yes. During the course of this investigation, have you participated in any interviews with an individual named Redacted? Yes. So for today's purpose, I'm just going to refer to her as Redacted. How many times have you referred to verbatim Redacted? Approximately twice. Miss Redacted. Excuse me. By Miss Redacted. Probably a cough or something. How many times have you interviewed Redacted? Approximately twice. Now, does Redacted know Redacted? Have they ever met before as far as you know? As far as I know, no. Turning to the next slide. Are these photographs of Redacted when she was in high school? Yes. And is her date of birth Redacted? Yes. When Redacted was approximately 16 and a junior in high school, where was she living? She was living in Redacted with her mother. Does she have any siblings? An older sister. What does her older sister do? Her older sister worked for Epstein. Where did she work for Epstein? Here in New York. Did there come a time in approximately December 1995 when Redacted had a phone conversation with her sister about traveling to New York City? Yes. What did they discuss? They discussed her coming to New York and meeting Epstein. What did her sister tell Redacted about why she should meet Epstein? She said that he could help her with her college. And does the sister say whether the sister wanted her to meet Epstein, or did she say whether Epstein wanted to meet Redacted? Epstein wanted to meet Redacted. Now, let me just pause here. You testified that this happened in approximately December of 1995. Just for context, the years that we were talking about with Redacted, was that 1994 through 1997? Yes. So is this approximately the same time period while what you described Redacted telling you happened? Yes. So in January of 1996, did Redacted fly on a commercial airline to New York City to spend a weekend with her sister and meet Jeffrey Epstein? Yes. Did she tell you that? Yes. During the trip, did Redacted tell you that she met Epstein at his townhouse in New York City? Yes, she did. Did she tell you that Epstein discussed her plans for college applications and offered to help her? Yes. What was Redacted's first impression of Jeffrey Epstein? She was very impressed by him. What was her impression, based on this conversation, of what Epstein was going to do for her? That he was going to help her with her future plans for college. During that trip to New York City, did she stay at Epstein's townhouse or at her sister's apartment? Her sister's apartment. During that trip, did she tell you that she saw Epstein a second time when he took Redacted and her sister to the movies? Yes. What did she tell you happened at the movies? She said that they were sitting in the theatre, and Epstein was between Redacted and her sister, and Epstein put his hand on her leg. He rubbed her arm and held hands with her. From what she told you, what was her impression about whether her sister could see what was going on? She felt like her sister couldn't see. What was her reaction to this happening? She was uncomfortable. After the movie, did she tell her sister what had happened? No, she didn't. Did she say why not? She said that she knew Redacted, her sister, really liked Epstein and that Epstein could help them. So she didn't tell her. After this trip, did Redacted go back home to Redacted? Yes. Did Epstein contact her afterwards? Yes. Did he discuss with her her ongoing college plans? Yes, he did. Did he invite her to a weekend at his ranch in New Mexico in the spring of 1996? Yes. Was she 16 at the time? Yes, she was. From what she told you, what was Redacted's impression of who would be on this trip to New Mexico? She knew Maxwell would be there. Was she told anyone else was going to be present during this trip? She said that there would be other students her kids her age. And what was her understanding of who these other kids were and why they would be there? Sorry, let me rephrase. Rephrase that question. You testified that she was told on this trip that there would be other students. Was she under the impression that there would be other students like her on the trip who were also being mentored by Epstein? Yes. Now, you testified just a moment ago that she was also told that Maxwell would be there. Are you referring to Ghislaine Maxwell? Yes. At the point that she was told that Ghislaine Maxwell would be on this trip, had she ever met Ghislaine Maxwell? No, she hadn't. Had she heard her sister talk about Ghislaine Maxwell? Yes. From what she described to you, how did her expectation that Maxwell would be on this trip make her feel about the trip? It made her comfortable. Her sister had talked highly of Maxwell. Did Redacted tell you that she flew to New Mexico that spring when she was 16? Yes. Did she meet Ghislaine Maxwell when she arrived in New Mexico? Yes, she did. How does she describe Maxwell's demeanor and attitude when she met her? She described Maxwell as being very charming. She gave her a tour of the house, and Maxwell took Redacted shopping, which made her feel special. What does she remember talking about with Ghislaine Maxwell? They talked about school, homework, trips. Did she talk with her about applying to college? Yes. Did she talk about her classes in high school? Yes. Did she talk with her about the homework that she had to do that weekend? Yes. Did she talk with Maxwell about her family? Yes. Did she talk about her home life and living with her mother? Yes. From what Redacted told you when she got there, who else was at the ranch besides Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein? It was just them. Was it just the three of them there the entire weekend of the visit? Yes. Were there any other school kids there? No. When they were at the ranch, from what Redacted told you, did Maxwell say anything to Redacted about massages? Yes. Did she say anything to her about foot massages? Yes. What did Redacted tell you about that? Maxwell told Redacted to give Epstein a foot massage and then showed her and instructed her on how to do it. Redacted was a little uncomfortable, but Maxwell was joking around, so she just followed her lead. Did Redacted tell you what Maxwell and Epstein took her to the movies that weekend? Yes. What did she tell you about that trip to the movies? She said that when they went outside to the theatre, Maxwell was joking around and pulled Epstein's pants down a little bit. And then once they went inside the theatre, Epstein, when they were sitting down, touched Redacted's leg and rubbed her arm, held her hand. And that this time Redacted, felt he wasn't trying to hide it from Maxwell. What was Redacted's reaction to all of this? She was uncomfortable. During the same weekend, was there another occasion when Maxwell talked about massages? Yes. What happened? Maxwell had asked Redacted if she had ever had a massage, and Maxwell told her she could give her one. So Redacted was on her back, and Maxwell pulled the sheet down, exposing her chest. She was nude from the top up, and proceeded to massage around her chest and breast area. From what Redacted told you when she was describing to you what you just described to the grand jury, how did she feel while this was happening? She felt really uncomfortable. Did Redacted also tell you about an incident that happened one morning when she was in New Mexico? Yes. What did she tell you happened? She said that she was in bed and Epstein came into the room and told her that he wanted to cuddle. So he laid down next to her and spooned her. She told him that she had to go to the bathroom to get out of the situation. What was her reaction to that when Epstein got into her bed? She felt uncomfortable. She didn't know what to do. Did Redacted go back home to Redacted when the weekend was over? Yes, she did. Did she tell anyone when she got home about what had happened? No. Is that for the same reason you described earlier? Yes. Did Epstein end up paying for Redacted to go on a trip to Thailand that summer? Yes. Did Redacted have any contact with Maxwell or Epstein after that trip? Not that she recalled. When you interviewed Redacted, what was her demeanour like when she described her interactions with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell? She became upset and emotional. Is Redacted currently pursuing a civil lawsuit against Maxwell and Epstein's estate? Yes, she is. What does Redacted do for a living now? She's a psychologist who works with trauma victims. During the course of this investigation, have you interviewed someone named Redacted? Yes. For today's purposes, I'm just going to refer to her as Redacted. How many times have you interviewed Redacted approximately? Approximately 3 times. Turning to the next slide, is this a photograph of Redacted that she provided to you? Yes. And did she tell you that this was taken when she was approximately 16 or 17 years old? Yes. Is Redacted's date of birth redacted? Yes. Did Redacted grow up in England? Yes, she did. Did she tell you that there came a point where she met Ghislaine Maxwell when she was about 17? Yes. How did she tell you that they met? She said they met for a mutual friend. Did she tell you that this would have happened in around 1994 or 1995? Yes. And is that within the same time period that we've been talking about today? Yes. What happened after she was introduced to Ghislaine Maxwell, from what she told you? She said Maxwell treated her like they were sisters. Her quote was, "like naughty schoolgirls," is how Maxwell was treated with her. Did she tell you that Maxwell seemed to immediately take an interest in her? Yes. Did she tell you that they began spending time together in London? Yes. And just to be clear, was Maxwell in her 30s while this is happening? Yes. Did Redacted ever remember Maxwell ever talking about having a boyfriend named Jeffrey Epstein? Yes. What did she tell Redacted about that? Maxwell told Redacted that Epstein was going to like her. Did there come a time when she was 17 that Redacted described that Maxwell introduced her to Jeffrey Epstein? Yes. How did she describe that occurring? Epstein had flown into London. He was at Maxwell's residence in London, and Maxwell had called Redacted over. So Redacted went over, and when she got there, Maxwell was saying to Epstein the words Redacted used was giving him a resume of her attributes, saying, "She's so pretty, she's so strong," and then Maxwell asked her to give Epstein a massage. Now you've testified just a moment ago that Redacted described to you that Maxwell asked her to give Epstein a massage during this first meeting. Is that correct? Yes. Did Maxwell say to her in sum and substance, "Since you're so strong, I'd appreciate it if you give Jeffrey a massage, because he needs a massage every day or I get in trouble"? Yes, she said that. Is that what Redacted said to you in sum and substance? Yes. When that happened, did Redacted remember Maxwell leading her to a room in the house? Yes. When Redacted went in the room... What happened? When Redacted went in the room, Epstein was in a robe. He took off his robe and she started massaging him. And then he touched Redacted and pulled her hand to his penis. What does Redacted remember Epstein saying when he did this? Don't be frigid. What was her reaction to this happening from what she told you? She was taken back by it. When this episode ended and Redacted left the room, did she tell that she remembered Maxwell being just outside the room when she left? Yes. Did she remember Maxwell saying to her, "Did you have fun? Did he like it?" Yes. Does she remember Maxwell calling her several days afterwards, or at some short period of time afterwards? Yes, she did. Did Redacted remember Maxwell saying to her on the phone call in some substance, "Well, aren't you a clever girl? Jeffrey was very impressed"? Yes. Shortly after this incident, does she remember Maxwell asking her to come back over to the house? Yes. And when she got there, did she tell you she remembered Maxwell saying to her, in substance, "Thank God you're here. If it's not you or someone else, it falls to me"? Yes. Does she remember Maxwell bringing her up the stairs to the house on that occasion? Yes, she did. What does she remember happening when Maxwell opened the door to the room? Epstein was standing there nude. Does she remember Maxwell then saying, "I'll leave you guys to it"? Yes. After these first 2 encounters, did Epstein and Maxwell invite Redacted to travel with them to Palm Beach, US Virgin Islands, Paris, and New York for the next several years? Yes, they did. Does she remember whether these trips began before or after her 18th birthday? She couldn't remember specifically. Before these trips started, you were describing earlier when Redacted told you about the time she spent with Maxwell when they first met, when she was 17, is that right? Yes. During these conversations, when she was spending time with Maxwell, did Redacted remember talking with her about her life and her family, and her personal circumstances with Maxwell? Yes. Now, you testified a moment ago that Redacted told you that at some point she began travelling with Maxwell and Epstein, and she wasn't sure whether or not these trips started before she turned 18, is that right? Yes. Did Redacted describe to you that Epstein sexually abused her during these trips, typically in the context of a sexualized massage? Yes, he did. Did Epstein give her money? Yes. Did she tell you that he would give her cash? Yes. Did she describe to you that the abuse included, among other things, Epstein groping her and using a massager device on her genitals? Yes. And was the massager device like a vibrator? Yes, it was. From what Redacted told you, was Maxwell in the room during these encounters? Maxwell wasn't in the room. What did she tell you would typically happen when Redacted left the room after these episodes? Was Maxwell typically nearby? Yes, she was usually right near the room. Does she remember Maxwell asking her, after she'd leave the room from one of these sessions, how was it? Is he happy? Yes. Did she also tell you that she remembers Maxwell telling her at some point in Sum and Substance, you know how he is when he's not happy, and you knew what makes him happy? He has to have sex all the time. He's like a superhero. Yes, she said that. Did Redacted tell you about an incident that occurred after she turned 18 in Palm Beach when she was staying at the Palm Beach house? Yes. Did the incident she described to you involve a schoolgirl outfit? Yes, it did. Could you please describe for the grand jury what Redacted told you about that incident? Redacted said that Maxwell had shown her a bedroom, and upon the bed was a schoolgirl outfit. Maxwell had told her. When Redacted confronted her about it, and Maxwell said, well, I thought it would be adorable if you gave Jeffrey his tea in this, so Redacted felt like she had to put it on. And so she put it on, took Epstein his tea, and Epstein then slapped her on the buttocks and reached under the skirt and touched her. What was her demeanour like when she described this incident to you? She was crying. She was very upset. When Redacted described seeing the schoolgirl outfit and talking to Maxwell about it, did she remember Maxwell telling her, don't be frigid? Yes. Does she remember that later in the day, after she had delivered Epstein his tea and he assaulted her, does she remember Maxwell telling her, I heard you did well? Yes. During the years that Redacted was in contact with Maxwell and Epstein, did she remember whether Maxwell had ever asked her if she knew any other girls who could massage Epstein? Yes. Does she remember Maxwell saying, in Sum and Substance, do you know anyone who could give him a blowjob today? I don't feel like it. Yes. Does she remember Maxwell saying, when she asked her to bring other girls, that they have to look young at least? Yes. From your conversations with Redacted, did she tell you whether or not she ever brought any other girls? Redacted didn't bring any girls. Did she tell you why not? She didn't want anyone else to go through that. From your interviews with Redacted, did she tell you that there came a time, when she was in her early 20s, when she stopped travelling with Maxwell and Epstein? Yes. Was she struggling with substance abuse at that point? Yes, she was. Did she tell you that she got sober in her 20s? Yes, she did. What is her current profession? She runs a non-profit for people who struggle with addiction and trauma. Did Redacted provide you with several emails that she exchanged with Epstein in the early 2000s? Yes, she did. And were those emails very friendly in tone? Yes, they were. What did she say to you when you talked with her about those emails? She said she didn't, at the time, want to acknowledge what was going on to her. That looking back on is different. Did your squad of the FBI execute a search warrant at Jeffrey Epstein's townhouse in Manhattan in July of 2019? Yes. Did you personally participate in the search of Epstein's residence? Yes, I did. Did the townhouse include a massage room? Yes. Have you yourself been in that massage room? Yes, I have. Could you please describe for the grand jury what that massage room looked like? It was dark. It had dark draperies covering the windows. There was a massage table. There were oils. There was a handheld massager in there, along with handcuffs, a whip, and along with... walls were nude photographs of young females. I believe you testified a moment ago that Redacted told you that there was a time when Maxwell asked her to wear a schoolgirl outfit for Epstein when they were in Palm Beach. Did you find a schoolgirl outfit in Epstein's New York townhouse? Yes, we did. Where did you find it? It was found in a room next to the massage room. And to be clear, did the FBI find sex toys during the search? Yes. What was found? Butt plugs, dildo, and vibrators. We've talked about 3 minor girls today. Redacted. Is that right? Yes. Have you reviewed the proposed indictment marked Grand Jury Exhibit 1? Yes, I have. Is Redacted the individual referred to as Victim 1 in the proposed indictment? Yes. Is redacted the individual referred to as victim 2 in the proposed indictment? Yes. Is redacted the individual referred to as victim 3 in the indictment? Yes. During all of Maxwell's interactions with the victims when they were underage girls, based on the time frame and your knowledge of Maxwell's birth date, was she in her 30s? Yes, she was. Just one moment. Alright, switching gears. Have you become aware that in or about 2016, Maxwell gave sworn testimony in a civil deposition in connection with a lawsuit? Yes. Could you please explain for the grand jury what is a deposition? It is a statement made under oath. And in the course of civil litigation, is it common for witnesses or parties of the lawsuit to give a deposition under oath where they testify about the substance of the case? Yes. And is deposition testimony live and in person and under oath? Yes. Is a court reporter present when a deposition takes place? Yes. Now, before we talk about Maxwell's deposition testimony, I want to talk to you about the lawsuit that the testimony was about. Have you become aware that in or about 2015, an individual named Redacted filed a lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell here in the Southern District of New York? Yes. And was Redacted suing Maxwell for defamation? Yes, she was. Was the lawsuit captioned Redacted against Ghislaine Maxwell, the docket number 15CB7433, here in the Southern District of New York? Yes. Sorry, my mouth's getting a little dry. Oh, hopefully I can get to a good point and then I can go get some more water. Yes. Generally speaking, in broader strokes, what was the lawsuit about? What was the claim that Redacted was bringing against Maxwell? Witness. I'm sorry, what line are we on again? Miss Redacted. Page 68, line 4. Witness. Redacted has stated that she had been sexually abused by Epstein and Maxwell as a minor. Maxwell came forward publicly and called her a liar, so Redacted sued her for defamation. By Miss Redacted. So, just a small legal instruction on this topic. Ladies and gentlemen, I instruct you that the allegations in the lawsuit are not being presented to you as evidence that those incidents occurred. I instruct you that you should not consider these allegations for their truth. Instead, the circumstances of the lawsuit are being presented to you so that you can consider the context of the case and the circumstances under which Maxwell made statements under oath. Turning back to the deposition, did Maxwell's deposition take place over 2 different days? Yes. On both days does she give testimony in Manhattan? Yes, she did. And that where the deposition took place? No, is that where the deposition took place? Yes. And on both days was Maxwell sworn under oath? Yes. If you could flip through the remaining slides of the presentation, do those slides contain true and accurate excerpts of the transcript of that deposition? Yes. Turning to the next slide, is this the cover page of the transcript of the first deposition that took place on April 22nd, 2016? Yes. And does it have the case caption on it? Yes, it does. Turning to the next slide. Is this an excerpt from the transcript? Yes. I imagine the grand jurors can't read it from their seats, so if you could read it with me, I'll read the questions, and if you could read the answers. Did Jeffrey Epstein have a scheme to recruit underage girls for underage massages? Ms. Redacted. And it appears there was an objection from the lawyer. By Ms. Redacted. If you know. I don't know what you are talking about. Just to be clear, was the question and answer? Is the answer here Maxwell's testimony? Yes. Just to be clear, you testified earlier that Redacted participated in sexualized massages with Epstein and Maxwell, is that right? Yes. And Redacted was a minor when that occurred? Yes. And did you also testify earlier that Redacted told you that Maxwell asked her to give Epstein massages when she was a minor? Yes. If you could turn to the next slide, please. Is this another excerpt from that same deposition? Yes, it is. All right. I'll read the question and you can read the answer. Was all the people under the age of 18 that you've interacted with at any of Jeffrey Epstein's properties? I'm not aware of anybody that I interacted with, other than, obviously, Redacted, who was 17 at this point. Just to be clear, you testified earlier about 2 girls under the age of 18 who interacted with Maxwell at Epstein's properties, is that correct? Yes. And those individuals were Redacted and Redacted who told you that, correct? Yes, that's correct. Turning to the next slide, is this the cover page of the transcript from the deposition that took place on July 22nd, 2016? Yes. And again, was this Maxwell giving testimony as part of the testimony under oath here in Manhattan? Yes. If you could please turn to the next slide. Is that an excerpt? Are these two excerpts from that deposition? Yes. Again, I'll read the questions. If you could please read the answers. Were you aware of the presence of sex toys or devices used in sexual activities in Mr. Epstein's Palm Beach house? Misredacted. There was an objection from the lawyer. Witness. No, not that I recall. I think that might be the answer, actually. By misredacted. Q. Do you know whether Mr. Epstein possessed sex toys or devices used in sexual activities? Misredacted. There's an objection from the lawyer. Witness. No. By misredacted. Just to be clear, you testified earlier that Redacted told you he found sex toys and a massager in Palm Beach, and also that he had seen Maxwell had a basket of sex toys in her closet there. Is that correct? Yes, that's correct. And is it correct you testified earlier that Epstein used a vibrator on Redacted? Is that correct? Yes, that's correct. And did you also testify earlier that Redacted told you that he did that as well? Yes, that's correct. And did you also testify earlier that sex toys were found by the police in the Palm Beach house in 2005? Is that right? Yes. And did you also testify earlier that the FBI found sex toys in Epstein's New York City townhouse in 2019? Yes, that's correct. If you could please turn to the next slide. This is on page 27. It says, are these also excerpts from that same deposition? Yes. Again, I'll read the questions if you could please read the answers. Other than yourself and the blonde and brunette that you have identified as having been involved in freeway sexual activities, with whom did Mr. Epstein have sexual activities? Misredacted. There's a witness. There's an objection from the lawyer. I wasn't aware that he was having sexual activities with anyone when I was with him, other than myself. By misredacted. I want to be sure that I'm clear. Is it your testimony that in the 1990s and 2000s you were not aware that Mr. Epstein was having sexual activities with anyone other than yourself and the blonde and brunette on those few occasions when they were involved with you? That is my testimony. That is correct. Have you reviewed the deposition transcript? Yes. In full. Now, the excerpt we just read has the reference to a blonde and a brunette. Are those individuals completely different from the individuals we've been talking about today? Yes. Just to be clear, is it correct that you testified earlier that Redacted and Redacted told you that Epstein sexually abused them repeatedly? Is that correct? Yes. And did you also testify earlier that Maxwell was occasionally present when Epstein was abusing Redacted, based on what she told you? Yes, that's correct. Turning to the next slide, is this also an excerpt from the same deposition? I'm sorry? I'm so sorry. Turning to the next slide on page 28, is this also an excerpt from the same deposition? Yes. Thank you. Okay. Again, if we could read that together, I'll take the question and you can take the answer. Let's just tie that down. Is it your testimony that you've never given anybody a massage? I've not given anyone a massage. You never gave Mr. Epstein a massage, is that your testimony? That is my testimony. You never gave Redacted a massage, is that your testimony? I never gave Redacted a massage. Just to be clear, as you testified earlier, is it correct that Redacted told you that Maxwell gave her a massage when they were in New Mexico? Yes. Misredacted. We're going to stop the read back there. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come back to finish the preparation in about 5 minutes. With the foreperson's permission, I will ask that the witness please be excused. Yes, he may. Misredacted. Thank you. Witness temporarily excused. Time noted 11:21 a.m. Recess taken. This is a good point for me to go get some water because you see the size of the water bottle. That is the amount of water I've got left, and I do have another one downstairs with some electrolytes in it. So I'm going to finish this. I'm going to go downstairs, pick up my other water bottle, fill this up, and I'll come straight back. I really don't intend to be long. Now, this may end up being closer to 4 hours, but I am very determined. I reckon I can. I want to get dataset 6 done today. But this is quite a long one, in a way. It's some of the pages have little to no substance. Like, for example, a lot of the pictures that we got during the first stream. But this, for example, this will take a while. This is a full-on course. I mean, even though it's a reading of their reading of what we've read before. It's I wasn't expecting that. It is. There's a lot of repeats there, but it's for context. It's like in a future format after Epstein is dead. Like the this trial stuff and all of that happened, you know, a while ago compared to this. I think by a couple of years. Anyway, I'll be right back. I won't be long. Hello, Clara. Ah, there we go. Recharged and reloaded, sort of. Anyway. Okay. Aaron setting off? Yep, no worries. You got work tomorrow. Oh, God. You're in America. What's the time for you? It's 11 o'clock at night for me. So I might be going to midnight again, but... No, I will be going to midnight. We'll see. Anyway. Colloquy proceeds. Witness resumes. Time noted 11:34 a.m. By Ms. Redacted. Welcome back, Detective. Thank you. I have placed in front of you what has been marked as Grand Jury Exhibit 5. Do you recognize that? I do. Is this a PowerPoint presentation concerning some of the facts and evidence that you have gathered in your investigation? Yes. Did you participate in preparing this exhibit in connection with your testimony today? Yes. Will it assist you in testifying today? Yes. Then we're going to have it up on the screen and we'll use it as you testify. During the course of this investigation, have you participated in multiple interviews with an individual named Redacted? Yes. Did those interviews take place in the year 2020 and the year 2021? Yes. Were there approximately 5 of those interviews in total? Yes. For today's purpose, I'm going to refer to her as Redacted. Have you also reviewed reports from other law enforcement interviews for Redacted? Yes. And is your testimony today based on both the review of those reports and your personal participation in interviews with Redacted? Hello, Dex. Yes. Turning to the next slide. Are these photographs of Redacted? Cat, that's not a good spot for you to be in. Okay, you want to sit there. No, if you're going to sit there, you stay there. Cheeky little goober you are. So, I think it's yes. And is your testimony today based on both the review of those reports and your personal participation in interviews redacted? Yes. Turning to the next slide, are these photographs of redacted? Yes. Did redacted tell you approximately how old she was in one of those photographs? Yes. The cat's head is right here. It's very, very hard to see the screen. Yes. Which photograph did she identify? The one on the right. Where is the one on the right from, according to redacted? Oh, I'm sorry. That was from her MySpace page. And about how old did redacted recall being in this photograph from her MySpace page? 16 years old. What is redacted's date of birth? Redacted. Where was redacted living when she was about 14 years old? West Palm Beach, Florida. What was redacted's home life like when she was 14 years old? It was troubled. She grew up. She had been molested multiple times as a child. Her mother was addicted to drugs and alcohol. Her parents were separated. She often fought with her brother and her mother. When redacted was 14 years old, did she have a boyfriend? Yes. What was his name? Redacted. How old was redacted when they were dating, when redacted was 14 years old? Approximately 17. And so was redacted about 3 years older than redacted? Yes. Did there come a time when redacted learned of and met Jeffrey Epstein? Yes. According to redacted, how did that happen? Her boyfriend, redacted, was friends with someone named redacted, who was dating redacted. The four of them would often hang out together. On one particular occasion, redacted was asked by them and redacted if she would like to make some money by massaging an older man. How did redacted respond? She agreed to do it. About what year does redacted remember this conversation taking place? 2001. So how old was redacted at that time? 14. During your investigation, have you learned of redacted's date of birth? Yes. How old was redacted at the time of the conversation with redacted in 2001? About massaging an old guy? 17. After that conversation with redacted, did redacted meet Epstein? Yes. What did redacted remember happening the first time she met Epstein? She was brought there by redacted. She recalls going in through the side door and being introduced to Maxwell as they entered. Based on her interactions with Maxwell, Based on her interactions with Maxwell, as she and redacted entered, what was redacted understanding of whether redacted and Maxwell had met before? She understood that they had met before. And did Maxwell, in substance, tell redacted to show redacted what to do? Yes. Is Clara? Oh. So I thought Clara was climbing up the back of the chair. She did that today. Very impressive, but scary at the same time. She understood that they had met before. And did Maxwell, in substance, tell redacted to show redacted what to do? Yes. What happened next? They went upstairs to the massage room. They set up the massage room, waited for Epstein to enter. At that point, they participated in giving him a massage. How did redacted describe the massage room in the Florida house? She described it as having a few doors inside of it, some of them entering a closet. She described there being it's like a bathroom, basically, that had a sink inside of it. And inside of the closet had a massage table, which they had to take out in order to set it up. What, if any, photographs did redacted recall seeing in and around the massage room? She recalls nude photographs of Maxwell. And of other females. Yes. After redacted and redacted had set up the massage table, what happened then, next? Jeffrey Epstein came into the room. They massaged him. At some point during the massage, he turned over and redacted got on top. They had sex and redacted sat on the couch and tried not to watch. According to redacted, did redacted and Jeffrey Epstein engage in sexual intercourse during that massage? Yes. At the end of the massage, what happened? Jeffrey left. They got dressed, and each got paid, and they walked downstairs. They got paid $300 each. Sorry, I'm just taking a photo of Dexter sitting in front of my monitor. I'm gonna make that as a post later, and just to prove that this is an issue. So to clarify, did redacted and redacted each receive $300? Yes. And how did they receive their money? In what denomination? Crisp $100 bills. After that first visit, did redacted go to Epstein's Palm Beach residence on multiple occasions to provide sexualized massages to Jeffrey Epstein between 2001 and 2004? Yes. Approximately how many times does Redacted estimate she massaged Jeffrey Epstein? About 100 times. Do Redacted memories of the event at Epstein's residence run together after that first visit with Redacted? Yes. At some point after her first or second visit to Epstein's residence, did Redacted give her phone number to someone at Epstein's house? Yes. After that, did Redacted go to Epstein's house by herself without Redacted accompanying her? Yes. After Redacted provided her phone number, how did she schedule times to message Epstein at his house? She would either call herself or she would receive a phone call. Did Redacted explain why she would call herself to ask to schedule a time to massage Epstein? Yes, at the time she wanted to make more money so she could buy drugs. That's very unfortunate. During her time seeing Epstein, did Redacted become addicted to certain drugs? Yes. What drugs was she primarily using? Cocaine and marijuana. When someone would call Redacted to schedule her for massages with Epstein, my stutter's getting annoying. Who does Redacted remember making those calls? Maxwell or Redacted? And were there particular time periods over the course of the years when Redacted was interacting with Epstein that one or the other of these two individuals would call? Yes. What did Redacted say about that? Clara, I'm in here. What did Redacted say about that? She recalled that for the first several months of going to Epstein, she would get calls primarily from Maxwell. After that, she would receive calls primarily from Redacted, but at the same time, occasionally receiving calls from Maxwell. And did she also remember receiving calls from other Epstein employees whose names Redacted did not know? Yes. Did Redacted refer to Maxwell as Maxwell? Yes. And then you mentioned another person. What was the other person's name? Redacted. And did she primarily refer to Redacted? Did Redacted primarily refer to Redacted as Redacted? Yes. Who was Redacted according to Redacted? She was another employee of Epstein's. She was an assistant who made phone calls, arranged massage appointments, and took photographs. When Maxwell would call Redacted to schedule massage appointments with Epstein, did Maxwell ever tell Redacted where Maxwell was calling from? Yes. What did Redacted remember about that? She recalls her saying that they were in New York, and that they would be travelling to Florida at a certain time period, and asking if she would be available for that time when they return. And when you say they would be in New York, who was Redacted referring to? Epstein and Maxwell. Hello, Clara. Oh, you're doubling up the blockage of my main monitor. Jolly good. You're a good girl. Now, don't go around the back. No, no, no. I don't want you going there. I do not want you going there. Not behind my monitor, please. No. You need to behave, Clara. You really need to behave. Yes, you can stay there. Stay there. That's a good girl. So did Redacted understand from these conversations that Maxwell and Epstein, at the time of those phone calls, were in New York? Yes. What phone numbers would Epstein's employees call to schedule appointments for Redacted to massage Epstein? They would call multiple phone numbers, including Redacted's cell phone, her mother's phone, her landline or her home line, and her boyfriend Redacted's phone. How did Redacted get to Epstein's residence for each massage appointment? She would either be driven by her boyfriend, she would drive herself on occasion, even though she did not have a license. She would have been driven there by Redacted. Hey, Clara. Let's not go back. Let me pick you up, actually. He's a good girl. Let me put you on my lap. It's alright. Let's sit here. Sit here. No, no, it's alright. Sit here. There's a good girl. And she's on the floor. And she's going to jump up again, I guarantee. How did Redacted get to Epstein's residence for each massage appointment? She would either be driven by her boyfriend, she would drive herself on occasion, even though she did not have a license. She had been driven there by Redacted, and also Epstein or Maxwell would send her a cab to be picked up. Oh my god. Hi, Clara. Okay. Told you, there are a pair of gremlins. She would either be driven there by her boyfriend, she would drive herself on occasion, even though she did not have a license. She had been driven there by Redacted, and also Epstein or Maxwell would send her a cab to be picked up. Did Redacted's boyfriend, Redacted, ever meet anyone at Epstein's house? Yes. What did Redacted remember about that? She recalls that he met Epstein. What did she say about that? He met in the driveway. There was a car that Epstein was driving at the time, and that he was showing to Redacted. And she recalls that Redacted really liked the car, and she had to hear about him talking about the car for several days to weeks after that. According to Redacted, did Redacted ever meet any of Epstein's employees? No. When Redacted arrived at Epstein's house at each appointment, what happened when she first arrived? She would arrive through the side door and generally be greeted by someone. Would that be in the kitchen? Yes. Does she recall at times Maxwell being the person who would greet her in the kitchen? Yes. After being greeted in the kitchen, what would Redacted do next? She would go upstairs and arrange the massage room and the massage table. Once Redacted was in the massage room, what happened during each appointment? Epstein would generally come out. He would get on the table. She would begin her massage. During the massage, he would flip over and she would generally play with nipples. He would masturbate, he would touch her breasts and buttocks, and she said that every instance ended with Epstein ejaculating. What would Redacted be wearing during these appointments? At first, she just started wearing her underwear, but was told that she would make more money to be completely nude, so she started getting totally nude. And so after her first few visits to Epstein's, did it become Redacted practice to be fully nude during the massages? Yes. On a few occasions during these massages, did Epstein touch Redacted's vagina? Yes. On one occasion, does Redacted recall Epstein touching her vagina with a vibrator? Yes. And you mentioned that Redacted recalled each massage ending with Epstein ejaculating. So is it Redacted recollection that every single massage she performed for Epstein involved a sex act? Yes. After each massage, what happened? Epstein would get up. Redacted would get dressed, and she would get paid. The money would generally be on the table or on the sink, or she would go downstairs and be paid by Maxwell. How much did Redacted recall being paid for each massage? $300. In what denomination? $100 bills. You mentioned that Redacted would sometimes be greeted by Maxwell when she arrived at Epstein's house. Earlier on in her visits to Epstein's, would Maxwell engage Redacted in conversation? Yes. And then, later on, after Redacted started primarily being the person to schedule these appointments, would Maxwell still be present sometimes? Yes. But during those later periods, would Maxwell primarily just say hello and not really have extended conversations with Redacted? Yes. During the earlier period, when Redacted was going over to Epstein's Palm Beach house, what types of conversations does she recall having with Maxwell? She talked with Maxwell about her home life. She talked with Maxwell about her abuse that occurred when she was younger. She recalled Maxwell asking about her sexual experiences that she's had. She recalled Maxwell asking her if she used a vibrator or a toy ever on herself. Did she also recall conversations about travel? Yes. I'd like to go through each of those topics that Redacted recalled discussing. Firstly, what did Redacted tell Maxwell about Redacted's home life in response to Maxwell's questions? She told her that her mother was addicted to drugs and that she had been molested several times as a child. Did she also tell Maxwell that the parents were separated? Yes. You also mentioned several topics coming up. What does Redacted recall about the time or times when sexual topics came up with Maxwell? Maxwell has asked her if she was sexually active. Redacted had told her that she's currently sexually active with her boyfriend. Maxwell asked her if she'd ever used a toy to pleasure herself, and she had said no. Did Redacted recall that the same day that Maxwell asked about whether she ever used a toy was the day that Epstein placed a vibrator on Redacted's genitals during the massage? Yes. What did Redacted recall about conversations with Maxwell about travel? She recalls that on multiple occasions, Maxwell asked her if she wanted to travel, specifically overseas. She had told her that she was 14 years old and that her mother wouldn't let her. Maxwell offered to get her a passport so she would be able to travel. When you said she had told her that she was 14 years old, did you mean that Redacted told Maxwell that Redacted was 14 years old? Yes. Does Redacted recall that these conversations took place when she was about 14 years old? Yes. Does Redacted recall Maxwell saying specifically when Maxwell wanted Redacted to travel with Epstein? No. Did Epstein ever invite Redacted to travel with him? Yes. What did Redacted remember about that? They were similar conversations where she had told he had asked her if she would like to travel and said that Redacted had also travelled with him. She had told him that she was 14 and likely her mother wouldn't let her travel. He had also offered to get her a passport. Did Redacted ever actually travel with Maxwell or Epstein? No. After Redacted told Maxwell and Epstein that she was 14 years old, did Maxwell still call her to schedule massage appointments for Epstein? Yes. Did Redacted still see Maxwell at the Palm Beach residence after telling Maxwell that she was 14 years old? Yes. Did Maxwell ever see Redacted naked? Yes. In particular, does Redacted recall that there were between 1 and 3 times when Maxwell saw her naked? Yes. How did that happen, according to Redacted? It happened in the massage room. And was there one time in particular when Redacted recalls Maxwell touching her while Redacted was naked? Yes. What did Redacted remember about that? She recalls being in the massage room undressing. Maxwell complimented her body and then asked if her breasts were real, at which point she touched her breasts. And when you say she touched her breasts, do you mean Maxwell touched Redacted's breasts? Yes. And on those occasions, just to be clear, according to Redacted, why was she getting undressed in the massage room when Maxwell was present? For getting prepared for the massage with Jeffrey Epstein. Other than during her first visit or two with Redacted, did Redacted ever participate in massages with Epstein, during which another female was in the room? Yes. In particular, does she recall 2 occasions when Epstein brought another girl into the room? Yes. Would you please describe for the grand jury what Redacted recalled about one such occasion? She recalled that the girl looked like a model. She recalls at one point during the massage, Jeffrey Epstein attempted to have sex with her. He slightly penetrated her at least once or twice, that she can recall. She told him no, at which point he began to have sex with the other female, and at the same time she was performing oral sex on Redacted. Now, just to clarify some of the pronouns there, you said that Epstein attempted to penetrate or have sexual intercourse with her. Do you mean that Redacted recalls that Epstein attempted to penetrate Redacted's vagina with his penis? Yes. Does Redacted recall Epstein attempting to do that and actually inserting his penis into her vagina on 1 or 2 occasions? Yes. And in response, did Redacted say no? Yes. And in response to that, did Epstein then engage in sexual intercourse with the other girl? Yes. And at the same time, was the other girl performing oral sex on Redacted? Yes. Was there another instance where Epstein brought a different girl into the room? Yes. What did Redacted remember hearing during that other instance? A similar instance where Epstein would have sex with the other female at the same time while she was performing oral on Redacted. So Epstein would have intercourse with the other girl, and the other girl would perform oral sex on Redacted? Yes. Did Redacted ever bring other girls to massage Epstein? Yes. Why did she do that? She was told she could earn more money. Who told her or asked her to bring other girls? Both Jeffrey and Maxwell. What in particular did they ask her to do? They asked if she could bring younger girls. Did Redacted in fact bring multiple girls over to Epstein's house? Yes. Can she remember the name of every girl that she brought over? No. Are there some examples of names that she remembers of girls that Redacted brought over? Yes. What are some examples? Redacted and Redacted. According to Redacted, was Redacted younger than Redacted? Yes. And according to Redacted, was Redacted about a year older than Redacted? Yes. When Redacted brought these girls, would Epstein engage in sex acts in the presence of both Redacted and the girls she had brought during the massage? Yes. After each massage, would both Redacted and the girl get paid? Yes. How much did Redacted remember them getting paid? $300. So did each Redacted and the girl get $300? Yes. Did Redacted receive any gifts from Epstein? Yes. What's an example of some gifts that she remembers receiving from Epstein? Flowers, a book called Massage with Dummies, and Victoria's Secret underwear. Does she recall receiving multiple packages of Victoria's Secret lingerie? Yes. Before she first received Victoria's Secret lingerie, did Maxwell ask her for her address and her bra size? Yes. How does Redacted remember receiving packages of Victoria's Secret underwear? She recalls receiving them at her house in West Palm Beach. And how would they get to her house? Either FedEx or UPS. What, if anything, does Redacted remember about the return address on those packages? She recalls that they stated they were from New York. Does she remember whose name was on the return address? She recalls Jeffrey's and Maxwell's name. What did Redacted do with the money she made massaging Epstein? She used it to purchase drugs. Did she and her boyfriend then use those drugs? Yes. Did Redacted continue going to school after she met Jeffrey Epstein? No. About how old was she when she dropped out? About 14. Was she in middle school when she dropped out? Yes. Fuck. So did Redacted ever attend high school? No. In or about 2003, did Redacted become pregnant with her boyfriend Redacted? Yes. Did Redacted continue to massage Epstein after she became pregnant, until she began showing her pregnancy? Yes. Did Redacted give birth to her son in 2004, when Redacted was about 17 years old? Yes. After the birth of her son, did Redacted still massage Epstein on a small number of occasions? Yes. What did Redacted tell you about that? She was doing it to, support her baby. Was that because she needed the money? Yes. Have you reviewed the proposed superseding indictment marked Grand Jury Exhibit 6? It is not in front of me right now, but I have reviewed it. Have you reviewed the proposed superseding indictment, or would you like me to provide you with a copy? Yes, I received it. Oh, oh man, I joined again late. Well, don't worry, the VOD will be saved. I feel as if I found some sort of hidden gem. Well, it shouldn't be hidden, but unfortunately it is. I love the Epstein streams, I just wish they could be advertised better. Yeah, I mean, these aren't great draws at the best of times, and I keep the VODs. I mean, if it was something different, like if I was streaming Helldivers 2 or something, I would absolutely want, mass advertise it for people to come along. But because this isn't exactly a draw to the channel, and it's because it's part... This is stream 20 so far. I just thought, the only way I can really advertise it is just, schedule it up, it shows publicly, and then... I come on at 9. Anyway, carrying on. Q. Is Redacted the individual referred to as minor victim 4 in the proposed superseding indictment? Yes. Before you began investigating Epstein and his associates, was there a prior investigation by a different FBI office into Jeffrey Epstein? Yes. During that investigation, was Redacted interviewed in 2007? Yes. Have you reviewed a report from that interview? Yes. During that interview, did Redacted describe providing numerous paid sexualized massages to Epstein at his Palm Beach residence when she was underage? Yes. Did Redacted mention Maxwell at all during that interview? No. During your most recent interviews with her in 2021, did Redacted explain why she did not mention Maxwell during her 2007 interview? Yes. What did she say about that? She was not asked. She was not asked about Maxwell. Correct. Did she think that Maxwell was important to the interview in 2007? No. Did Redacted sue Jeffrey Epstein in approximately 2008? Yes. Was she deposed as part of that lawsuit in 2009? Yes. Have you reviewed a transcript of that deposition? Yes. During that deposition in 2009, did Redacted state that Maxwell was one of the people who would call her to schedule massage appointments with Epstein? Yes. Was Redacted asked any other questions about Maxwell, or any follow-up questions about Maxwell during that 2009 deposition? No. After that deposition, did the lawsuit settle? Yes. During her more recent interviews, did Redacted admit that she lied during her 2009 deposition? Yes. And in particular, in her 2021 interviews, did Redacted tell you that after she stopped seeing Epstein, she began working for an escort service? Yes. During her 2021 interviews, did Redacted admit that, as part of that escort service, she engaged in paid sex acts with men? Yes. Now, during her 2009 deposition, was Redacted asked about her time working for an escort service? Yes. Did she lie and claim that she had engaged in no sex acts, and only non-sexual dates as part of that escort service? Yes. Did she explain why she lied during her deposition? Yes. What did she say about that? She was embarrassed. Was she ashamed to admit that she had worked as a prostitute during her deposition? Yes. Has Redacted struggled with drug addiction in the years since her time with Epstein? Yes. Did she in particular become addicted to cocaine and crack cocaine? Yes. Was she also in a car crash after which she was prescribed opioids? Yes. And did she become addicted to opioids? Yes. Between the ages of 18 and 26, was Redacted arrested and convicted on multiple times, including misdemeanors and felonies, for crimes arising out of her drug use, such as drug possession and traffic violations? Yes. Was her last felony and incident involving stolen property when she pawned an Xbox that belonged to one of Redacted's friends? Yes. As a result of that conviction, did Redacted spend several weeks in jail? Yes. And was that the longest jail sentence she had ever served? Yes. After Redacted was released from that jail sentence, did she go into drug treatment and obtain mental health treatment? Yes. Was that several years ago? Yes. What does Redacted do now? She's a stay-at-home mother. Is she married? Yes. To someone other than Redacted? Yes. Does she have 3 young children with her current husband? Yes. Does he work while she takes care of the kids? Yes. Has Redacted received treatment for depression, anxiety, PTSD, and schizophrenia, among other mental health issues? Yes. As for her schizophrenia, does that manifest in Redacted hearing voices telling her that someone's going to take her children away and hurt her children? Yes. Does Redacted believe that that comes from a fear that what happened to her as a child could happen to her children? Yes. Is Redacted able to tell the difference between those voices and reality? Yes. Does she take medication to help her not hear those voices? Yes. Does Redacted currently take multiple medications to help her manage her drug addiction and her mental health issues? Yes. Do those include methadone, Xanax, and medical marijuana? Yes. Is Redacted currently, or has she ever, sued Maxwell? No. Does she have any plans to do so? No. Have you identified evidence that corroborates Redacted's account of her time interacting with Epstein and Maxwell? Yes. Did you interview Redacted's ex-boyfriend, Redacted? Yes. What is the current nature of Redacted and Redacted's relationship? They have a child in common, and they talk very minimally, just because they have a child in common. So, do they only speak when necessary to discuss their teenage son? Yes. According to Redacted, were he and Redacted dating when Redacted was about 14 years old and Sean was about 17 years old? That's an that should be redacted there. The word Sean should be redacted, so no doxing. As I say, these are witnesses. Yes. Did Redacted remember that he, Redacted, and Redacted would hang out around that time? Yes. What did Redacted recall about how Redacted came to meet Jeffrey Epstein? He recalls that the 4 of them were hanging out, and they had mentioned, Redacted and Redacted had mentioned to them that Redacted could go to massage an old man, and she would be paid money in return for that. After that, what does Redacted remember happening? He recalls that Redacted went to Epstein's house with Redacted to do the massage. Did Redacted recall bringing Redacted to Epstein's Palm Beach residence on multiple occasions? Yes. Did Redacted remember receiving phone calls to schedule appointments for Redacted to massage Epstein? Yes. What, if anything, did Redacted remember about meeting Jeffrey Epstein? He recalls meeting him at his house, Epstein's house. He recalls that Epstein was there with his car, and he was showing off his car. He recalls that Epstein was flashy. What, if anything, did Redacted remember Redacted was saying about Maxwell? He recalls that Redacted said Maxwell was rude and nasty and that she was supposed to be teaching her how to do massages. What did Redacted remember doing with the money that Redacted received from Epstein? They purchased drugs, Redacted and Redacted. Redacted and Redacted would purchase drugs? Yes. Oh, hey Flint, you're in. Where was I? What did Redacted understand was happening when Redacted was at Epstein's Palm Beach residence? He understood that she was going in there to give massages to Epstein, but felt that there may have also been something else going on. What did Redacted remember about Redacted bringing other girls to Epstein's residence? He recalls that she had brought other girls. Did he remember that both Redacted and the other girls would get paid for going to Epstein's house? Yes. Turning to the next slide. During the prior investigation into Epstein, did the other FBI office obtain certain Federal Express records regarding Epstein? Yes. Was there one in particular from October of 2002 that is up on the slide right now? Yes. Would you please walk the grand jury through what we see on this slide? Sure. On the left-hand side it says, picked up October 7th of 2002. The census address is on the bottom. In the middle it says Jeffrey E. Epstein. His address is 457 Madison Avenue, New York, New York. It was sent to the recipient being redacted. And is Redacted's name spelled redacted instead of redacted in the receipt column? Yes. And the 457 Madison Avenue address, is that in Manhattan? Yes. How old was Redacted on October 7th, 2002? 15. Have you interviewed a man named Redacted? Yes. Is that the same man about whom we read back testimony from Special Agent Redacted earlier today? Yes. To remind the grand jury, did Redacted work for Epstein in the 1990s and early 2000s at Epstein's Palm Beach residence? Yes. Did Redacted recall meeting Redacted? Yes. What did Redacted remember about how he first met Redacted? He recalls driving Maxwell to a massage appointment in Mar-a-Lago. He was told to wait in the car while she got her massage. When she was done, she got in the car and they started leaving the property. Hello, Dexter. At some point during that drive, while still on the property, she asked him to stop. She got out of the car and approached a female who was wearing a uniform at the time. Maxwell spoke to that female for about 20 minutes, and Mr. Redacted could not hear the conversation. Maxwell then got back in the car and drove back to Epstein's house. Shortly thereafter, later that day, that same girl arrived at the house. She soon became a regular at the house, and later learned her name to be Redacted. And when Redacted said that Redacted became a regular at the house, what was Redacted's understanding of why Redacted was coming to Epstein's Palm Beach residence? To give Epstein massages. Oh, hello. Dexter, no, oh God. You just stepped on the keyboard, cat. You absolute, okay. Okay, there we go. Now, don't do that again. Don't do that again. No, 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 no. Okay. Shortly thereafter, later that day, that same girl arrived at the house. She soon became a regular at the house, and later learned her name to be Redacted. And when Redacted said that Redacted became a regular at the house, what was Redacted's understanding of why Redacted was coming to Epstein's Palm Beach residence? To give Epstein massages. Turning to the next slide. Have you reviewed flight records for Jeffrey Epstein's private jet? Yes. Do those show multiple flights that Redacted was on when she was under the age of 18? Yes. Was Maxwell present for some of those flights with Redacted? Yes. Are two such flights reflected on this slide? Yes. I'd like to ask you to please walk the grand jury through those two flight records. On December 11th and December 14th of 2000, you can see all the way at the bottom of the page, on the left-hand side is marked 11 and 14. The first flight goes from FBI to Teterboro, which is in Palm Beach in Florida, and Teterboro is in New Jersey. On that flight was Epstein, Maxwell, and Redacted, among others. The next flight on the 14th goes from Teterboro to the Virgin Islands. On that flight is Epstein, Maxwell, Redacted, and others. Based on your understanding of Redacted, date of birth, how old was Redacted on those two flights? 17. Turning to the next slide, does this slide show 3 additional flights that Redacted took with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell when she was 17 years old? Yes. Would you please walk the grand jury through these 3 flights? Sure. The first flight is January 26, 2001. On that flight is Jeffrey Epstein, Maxwell, and Redacted, among others. That was from Teterboro to Palm Beach. Down a little bit further, there's another date that appears to be January 28th of 2001, although the 8 seems like it's a little faded, but does appear to be late January 2001. On that flight is Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Redacted, among others. And the last flight is on the 30th of January, also 2001. This flight had Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Redacted on that flight. Based on your review of flight records for Jeffrey Epstein's private jet, have you found multiple additional flights in 2001 that Redacted took with Epstein and Maxwell when she was still 17 years old? Yes. Have you reviewed certain phone records from the year 2004? Yes. Do those phone records show that on at least 2 occasions in April and May of 2004, an employee of Epstein's called Redacted's phone number? Yes. Turning to the next slide, during the prior investigation of Epstein, was there a search executed at Epstein's Palm Beach residence in 2005 by the Palm Beach Police Department? Yes. During that search, did the police recover massage pads from the residence? Yes. Would you please explain to the grand jury what massage pads are? Sure. So massage pads, in this particular instance, were pads that Epstein kept next to each of his phones in his residence. If someone was to call, whoever would answer that phone would jot down a note as to who the person was that was calling, who they were asking for, the time and date. Sorry, message pads, not massage pads. Who they're asking for, the time and date, and their phone numbers, and any specific message they wanted to leave. Have you reviewed the message pads that were recovered from Jeffrey Epstein's Palm Beach residence in 2005? Yes. Do those message pads include several messages with Redacted's name and or phone number in them? Yes. Do those message pad excerpts date between the years 2003 and 2005? Yes. Up on this slide right now, are these 2 examples of message pad excerpts that reference Redacted? Yes. Would you please walk the grand jury through these message pad excerpts? Sure. The first one says the message is from Mr. Epstein. The date is 3/1/2003. I'm sorry, I think you said 3-1. Did you mean 3-11? I'm sorry, it's a little faded. 3-11-2003. The message is from redacted, and the phone number, also a little faded here, but says redacted. The second message says it's for J.E., Jeffrey Epstein. The date is March 16, 2003. The message is from redacted. Same number as the previous message is redacted. The message on the bottom says she wants to work. And just to remind the grand jury, did redacted tell you that there were times when she would call to ask to massage Epstein so that she could get more money for drugs? Yes. Turning to the next slide. Are these additional message pad excerpts seized from Jeffrey Epstein's Palm Beach residence in 2005? Yes. Would you please walk the grand jury through these? Sure. The first one on the left says the message is for J.E., Jeffrey Epstein. It's from redacted. The date is missing on this one, but it says the time is 12:30. The phone number is redacted. The one on the right says the message is also, again, J.E. for Jeffrey Epstein. There's no date. The time is 3:15 p.m. It's from redacted. Phone number redacted. The message states redacted wants to work. During the search in 2005 of Epstein's Palm Beach residence, were additional messages recovered that are not included on these slides? Yes. Additionally, were multiple message tables seized from the residence? Were multiple massage tables seized from the residence in 2005? Yes. Was at least one of those tables manufactured outside the state of Florida? Yes. Have you reviewed photographs and a video recording that from that 2005 search of the Palm Beach residence? Yes. Would you please describe for the grand jury, based on those photographs and that video, what the massage room in the Palm Beach residence looks like? Sure, it was basically a master bathroom. There was glass doors which appeared to go back into a shower. There's a sink in the room. There was a couch in the room. There are several doors in the room, one of which leads into a closet. Inside of the closet on the walls, also on the walls of the massage room, there were multiple photographs, some of them being of nude women. Was there also a massage table in that closet? Yes. Photograph was a massage table instead of the closet. Have you told the grand jury everything you know about this case, or have you merely answered the questions that I've asked you? I've merely answered the questions. When you testified about conversations you had with others or documents you reviewed, did you testify to the exact words or just the substance? Just the substance. And are you willing to return to the grand jury if the grand jurors have additional questions for you? Of course. Ms. Redacted. Then with the foreperson's permission, I'll ask that the witness please be excused. Yes, he may. Ms. Redacted. Thank you. Witness excused. Time noted, 12:15 p.m. Colloquy follows. Certificate. I hereby certify that the foregoing is a true and accurate transcription, to the best of my skill and ability, from my electronic notes of this proceeding. April 5th, 2021. Date. And the signature, Jury Reporter, Free State Reporting, Inc. Oh, that was a long-ass file. That was about 160 pages. Anyway, I'm going to try and do a few of these smaller files because they're only a couple of pages long, but I won't be able to get Data 6 done today. I really wanted to, but we've got one more like semi-long one to do, and it's getting quite late. My voice is starting to crack. I'm starting to stumble over my words again, so that means I just need to sleep it off. But we've been going for almost a solid 3 hours at this point, so it's not too bad. But I'm going to try and do what I can in the meantime, save myself a little bit of work for next stream. Which, as I say, fingers crossed, will be tomorrow. But obviously, plans change. If I take too long doing work during the day, or if I need break, or if something IRL comes up, I will absolutely take that break, rather than do Epstein Files. You know, I think I average at least 3 streams a week. I want to try and make that more, but... you know, some days I can really last me a long time, and I can record a lot of long stuff. Speaking of long, I'm getting tired. Anyway. United States v. Ghislaine Maxwell, March 29, 2001, grand jury presentation. Redacted. Federal Express record. Jeffrey E. Epstein, 457 Madison Avenue, New York, New York, 10022, 6843. Billing account shipping address, Jeffrey E. Epstein, 457 Madison Avenue, New York, New York, 10022, 6843 US. Invoice number redacted. Invoice date, October 14th, 2002. Account number redacted. FedEx tax ID redacted. So picked up October 07, 2002. Payer shipper. Reference, no reference information. Sender, Jeffrey E. Epstein, 457 Madison Avenue, New York, New York, 10022 6843 US. The recipient is fully redacted. And this is transportation charge, $16. Discount minus 2.56. Fuel surcharge, 40 cents. Total transportation charges is $13.84 US. That was for a FedEx package. And December 11th and 14, 2000 flights. Again, same plane, G1159B as what we did probably 2 hours ago. Then aircraft identification mark N908JE. And this is from November 19th, 2000. So I think it's pointing at both to 14th December. I think it's 11th and 14th. Okay, so flight numbers 1418 to 1434 with these airlines. Remarks, procedures, JE redacted, JEAP redacted, JEAP redacted, JE and GM, times 2, times 3, times 4, with also Ricardo Logoretta. This one's a reposition, JEGM, JEGM ET and redacted, and the same for this one. JEGM redacted, Tom Pritzker, one female. Marshall Air Force Rescue, maybe, or something. Sandringham, reposition, Norwich, Norpond, or something like that. JEGNET, redacted. Something on runway. JEGMET, redacted. JEGMET, redacted, and the same here. Oh. January 2001 flights. So, most part the same plane apart from C172, which is this plane, and N1446V. And this is 2001, so it's Jan, I want to say. Jan 16th to 30th. And they marked the 26th and the 22nd. So, 26th, this could be February here, after the 26th. Anyway, flight numbers 1437 to 1444, and then 145 and 1446. They've skipped a bunch of these. I suspect this is because there are a bunch of repairs and stuff being done. But anyway, we got the same names: JEGMET times 2, JE and redacted, JEGMET and AP, and then JE redacted times 2 times 3, JEGMET and redacted, and they've got the same here and here as well. So C172. Vought Pete Sorensen, B727 closing N505LS, Jonathan Mand, instrument comparatory check, Sats, Satisquidgery. God, I'm tired. I'm yawning. I think I'm going to be done after I do this file. Message passed from Epstein's Palm Beach residence. For J. Epstein. Date 03/11/03. Time 19:15 a.m. Oh no. Yeah. Oh no. 12:15 a.m. Okay. M redacted. Phone redacted. They've telephoned and please call. Signed Evelyn. For JE. Date 16:03/05. Date 18:27. Telephone please call. She wants to work. Signed by nobody. And this one is Mr. JE. No date, time 12:30, redacted M, message and phone number. Oh no, whatever M is. Nothing here, it's just signed. Important message for JE, 3:15 p.m. Orders is redacted and the messages they want to work. See, I'm done. As you can hear, I'm yawning off the top of my head. I shouldn't be doing that at all. I need to do better. But apart from that, we got a few more court documents. That should be fine. A few pictures as well. This shouldn't take... Ideally, it shouldn't take too long to do, and should be possible to get done during a stream. But anyway, yeah, this one's got a lot of pages as well. So, got about 140 pages until the end of December, dataset 6. I had done a lot this stream, far more than that this stream, so I'll get it done at least next stream. But I am tired. My cats are restless and need playing with, otherwise they're going to keep me up all night. And yeah, I need to rest my voice because my voice is cracking again. But anyways, that was some very, very good progress. We'll see about clipping some of this as well, because this is important testimony. Anyways, thank you everyone for showing up, and as always,